like the fact that Redgar is such a genuine and lovely human being, and in the moment, instead of celebrate the victory they just had, which would be almost all that I think anyone would think about. Do you support Patafan's decision? Feel free to just move to the next topic. I think that's a loaded question.
And that pissed me off. Because
Well.
Phoenix is awful. He's not a good agent whatsoever.
Victor and Drone were both just playing
It sucked.
Phoenix whenever
They
they.
were terrible on it.
The amount of people that literally milk the of these journalists who are leaking these news and in turn giving them a superiority complex or a savior complex, whatever it wanted to be. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Valoranting for the week of the 12th of December. And the biggest week in this year of Valorant is over. What a year it has been, and what a tournament. We'll get to that in just a second, of course. Van Sealy, mate, how you doing? Good to have you back. No esports team representation on the merch today, bro. Just going full Canadian. Okay.
I know. I actually had my TSM sweater that I was ready to wear, and I was like, you know what? I'm so tired. I'm just gonna wear what I have, what I rolled out of bed with. And thankfully,
I think you're too ashamed.
T-shirts.
I think you're too ashamed to wear NA merch.
No,
that's what I think. Mitch, how you doing, mate? Welcome back, of course, after a fantastic tournament, mate. Obviously, you know, RyanCentral stole a bunch of your work, but you managed to wrestle it back, so congrats.
Yeah, you know, in the contracts, the legal stuff beforehand, he slipped in a few clauses. I wasn't ready for that, but we'll keep an eye on that guy in the future. Yeah, man.
You guys have the same agent too. Just fucking wow.
Yeah, he had a fake birthday party for himself on the stream as well. I mean, there was just
kick than Geo.
Dude, it was in. Oh,
he had a proper
man, we're gonna tell that story later on. It was
okay, all right, because I heard there was some shit.
God.
Anyway, today we are here to talk about champions. So let's get started. Ascend 1 champions and NA fucking blow. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us. 11 a.m. PT next Tuesday. I'm sure we'll find something else to talk about. Till then, have a good one. And this has been Valoranting. No. We need to spend at least 3 hours making Vance's life absolute hell.
I was down for that show, so I don't have to fucking deal with MitchMan for the next 3 hours. So this is probably gonna be the show where I speak the least words as possible, so we can just fucking blow through this shit.
I'll make it up for you. You know what? I'll speak 3 times more than normal. Let's sign that deal right now. That they call that the RyanCentral deal. You don't get to talk, but I do.
This is perfect timing because, you know, I think your voice still needs some rest. So technically, you're not supposed to be speaking 3 times more. So this is perfect. And
yeah, now, obviously, Mitch, you did miss the first couple of days because I know because I tuned in and it was like the double bold squad. It was like Tom Biz and RyanCentral. I was like, hang on, what the fuck's going on here?
I mean, look, those guys, they know a lot about the game. So it kind of matches up. There used to be a show on here and on like UK television that we also watch in not the UK. And it was called Eggheads, and it was a bunch of smart, bald people. So it worked out pretty well. Yeah, no, we rolled up to quarantine. I ended up with a throat infection. It hit me real fucking bad. I still can't go high. I can talk low pretty well, but for some whatever vocal cord handles high notes is fucked. But yeah, so there was a couple days where I couldn't talk, missed like rehearsals and stuff. It was like 10 days or so of just pain. Went to the hospital. Riot got me like sorted out, brought me to the hospital just to make sure that there was nothing weird going on. Everything was clear. Got back in there for day 5, but those 4 days were really fucking painful. Just like watching from the sidelines. That was a tough week. Really tough week.
Yeah, and of course, like, you know, even if you maybe, you know, you suspect strongly it's nothing COVID related, right? If you get anything remotely respiratory, that's the first thing you think about. And you're already shitting yourself like, oh, fuck me. No, here we go. No, the worst possible outcome. But hey, listen, I've heard of, there have been many people in the broadcast industry that have really suffered with their voices. I think like, I want to say like Doa actually had to take like a whole year off because he completely blew out his throat or something. We don't think about it, right? We get caught up in we get caught up in the moment and shit like that. But yeah, real sorry we're going to be without your soprano today, Mitch. I guess we'll have to find something. Wow, what about you, Vance? What kind of notes are you hitting these days, mate?
I can hit some very high notes. I can hit some very low notes. I could go from really, really low. Actually, I tried this thing with Average Jonas, actually, when it says like, when you try to do your keys from high to low, you know, at some point there's like a section that your voice just cracks.
Yeah.
So try it out. So you go from high to low, and at some point it cracks, right? But you could practice to get rid of that. So you go, see, I just cracked right there. You could practice to get rid of that. Can you guys do that? Let's try it.
Well, I can't do it right now.
Okay, well, Mitch then.
Oh, bitch, I'm a fucking career commentator. You think I got gaps in my range?
He's been
Sit the
practicing.
fuck down. All right, let's get on with the show, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about the quarterfinals. Come on, man. I've been doing this shit almost half as long as you have, bro. That's a long ass time. All right.
That's true. That's true.
Here's our quarterfinals, of course. Again, I think, some pretty insane results sort of led us up to this point. I think coming into this, we're thinking, Team Liquid are like a real front runner at this particular event, and Fnatic, right? A lot of people have got those two teams' names on their lips. And of course, the NA hopefuls are, wanting to see a little bit more from Cloud9. X10 is naturally a bit of a wild card here, and Crew is, well, people were very impressed with their performance over Sentinels. And at this point, it didn't seem like a fluke, but, there are a lot of questions about just how much farther they can go. So let's talk about ACEND versus X10 then. As we jump into this, because I would say that X10, despite forcing a lot of teams to like 3 maps, we're not expected to advance much forward as a Team Secret. Excuse me.
Yeah, and even when you look at Team Secret overall, or just how these teams made it through, and you're looking at the group stages, you could almost say that every fucking group was a group of death, right? To see the Secret that made it that far, to move it out of groups, to actually make it very, very convincing against Vikings, to finally play a very decent series here against ACEND. But there's got to be something about ACEND that as soon as that cam bug happened between VALORANT and them, something the switch just turned, and it just dominated this whole tournament.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to talk about when it came to that bug, and like the knock-on effects for those players, like the mentality. It's really tough because the timeline of events at the actual arena was like the players played the match, they lost, then they were told, oh no, you've actually won, then they were told, oh, we're not actually sure if you've won, we're gonna check, and they have to wait quite a while to find out that actually you're gonna replay it. What's the situation gonna be like when you replay it? I don't know. Are you gonna play the pistol when you start out, or are you gonna go straight to rifles? I don't know. So like all that was being figured out, and these players were left in limbo while other teams were preparing to face off against known opponents. Envy, we're also in a pretty bad spot because, one day it's Keystars, then it's ACEND, then it's not sure. So they're just left there. They're having to prepare, focusing on themselves, which is something that a team like ACEND always say that they love to do. They don't look much at their opponents. But for Envy, I'm not so sure on that. But I cannot imagine that it was a benefit to them having a concealed opponent for however long, and their match times messed around and so on and so forth. So that really sucked as a situation. I think that there's a lot that can be done moving forward to mitigate the risk of that happening again, and certainly that will be done by Riot, realizing that rulebooks need to up and patches need to go out a little bit sooner for those sort of issues.
And follow them.
Yeah, it really sucked. It sucked that we had something like this happen at Champs. That sort of I know certainly for any Keystars, what it says in VLR, the VALORANT players, fans and so on regionally, it's gonna really spoil the results for them, even if we can all agree ACEND legitimately deserve to win, blah blah blah. Fine, it still isn't a nice thing to have opened the tournament with, for sure.
We talked about it.
Maybe don't bug abuse at the same time. Can I quickly just say fuck players who bug abuse? That bug is well known. You actively decided to do it.
Yeah,
it sucks for the team and the fans, but the one player who did it, go fuck yourself. But I feel like he should have been removed from the tournament, but it is what it is.
Yeah. We talked about, like I said, I fucking, in your absence, Mitch, we made up for it, and we definitely had a good round about this last week. But it is cheating. Objectively, it's cheating.
It is, yeah. Safe did it against us on Split for 13 rounds. Still fucking lost because guild were garbage. But when people actively abuse bugs, like we've been in that situation. When I was on Alliance, there were a bunch of bugs that we had found that I don't think other teams knew about, and we still went forward and said, look, do not use this. Like, let's agree to not be pieces of shit. But some players really struggle with not being a piece of shit. Sadly, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was gonna say, like, at least the positive thing out of it for like ACEND making it to champions, which we'll talk about for sure. And you gotta ease your throat. Just make sure you put a bib on that shit here,
Yeah, I've just fucking destroyed my t-shirt
fucking on his hands
instantly. instantly. Just covered in satay sauce now.
For those who are
what it
listening on
is.
Spotify, once this gets uploaded later on in Valorant, then at least you miss all of that. But make sure you watch the VODs on YouTube later on just to see how MitchMan doesn't know how
Just
to eat.
absolutely slovenly.
It was horrendous. It was I miscalculated a lot of things in that attempt.
Anyways.
Hey, as we talk about map 2 in this series for ACEND, obviously Icebox is pretty one-sided. Obviously this is a real CNED series, right? The guy is 10-2, 12-2, first kill, first death across both Icebox and Breeze. Pretty absurd performance from him. I think he ends up with like a, I don't know. Yeah, he's like almost a 2.0 KD across the series.
Yeah.
Really difficult, I think, for Secret to stave off ACEND here. They string a couple rounds together here and there, but like it's so few and far between. And I've got to say, ACEND really very impressed me. And I also thought that the KO play, of course, from Zeke was pretty darn nice on this Breeze map.
Just in general too, like I feel that putting yourself into Team Secret shoes, I feel that they probably thought that they won the map rotations, the map picks so far against ACEND picking the series, right? Because they've played Icebox, where Icebox they shunned a Gambit, if I'm not mistaken, in the group plays and did or maybe not group plays, but they're just good on Icebox for a lot of like Southeast Asian teams in general, because they do play it enough and play it a lot. I mean, Wits was probably one of the ones that I wanted to talk about the most out of this roster, as we already talk about Dubstep a lot, because he's like the main jet player, and all jet players in SEA are pretty cracked. But when you're actually looking at Wits, like he actually put up some pretty decent numbers on multiple roles as a second duelist or a flex agent as support, right? So not only when he plays Reyna, but when he also plays the Sky, he's been doing his job. He may not show like the huge numbers, but has a lot of impactful kills for TS so far here in this tournament. And the last but not least is Jesse Vash. Jesse Vash is like a Dota 2 pro, apparently.
It was like an IGL or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It comes back or comes into an FPS game and is able to like just dominate, just like Sassi, for example, from League of Legends. And something about MOBA players and Sova players come together, and it just works out well for the group. So TS in general, I think, will be a force to be reckoned with. I think Brent Esports, when they were represented by that roster, by that organization in the past, and we really wanted to see them at, I think this was Berlin, but it couldn't go because of the visa issues. Everybody had a lot of faith into Brent Esports after watching some tapes, after seeing how things were going into the qualifiers.
We never knew, never really knew
exactly
how they would stack up internationally.
Exactly, and it did such a good job. I think this is very, very promising for the Southeast Asian scene, just watching how these SEA teams actually progress in this Tournament of Champions.
Yeah, for me, they sort of cemented themselves as a tier 2 team, like not necessarily that close when it comes to like an ACEND. You put them up against one of the NA teams, I'm not sure that they deliver, but they can make quick and clean work of the likes of Vikings, of Crazy Raccoon. They had a really, really good start up against Gambit. So this is a team that can break through to the top level coming into probably the first event of Masters next year. That's definitely enough time based on what we saw from Crew. Like it is getting scary. Teams are no longer playing catch up. They're now actually on the heels of some of the best teams in the world. And it's really interesting to me for Team Secret. Obviously, Jesse Vash alone is a super interesting point, but Wits was an opera. He was always an opera in CS. It's all he did. Like, and he was a pretty good one for a Southeast Asian standard. He was excellent. But when it came to like global level, you're like, yeah, he could probably be on like a tier 2 EU team, a tier 2 NA team in CS, 5 years ago. But now he's in a position where, he was able to really put up the hurt against some of the, again, I'm not going to say he's, a top 20 duelist in the world or anything, but certainly someone to keep an eye on moving forward, because his improvement in the last couple of months has been tangible. So I'm really excited to see what these guys can do. And you have to also remember, a lot of the time for a team like Team Secret, getting to go to an international event, play on the LAN, something that most of these players haven't had the experience of doing. It takes a while to really warm up to that. And the first couple of events are often going to be a litmus test. You're solving and you're learning about a lot of new issues, and then you're going to go on to be challenging the top. That's the sort of effect that we've seen from Crew. I give Team Secret 1 or 2 more events, and I think we really start to have to talk about them.
Oh yeah, agreed.
Even when you're like Ryan was taking a joke with you, I think you were casting that with him, right? When we were looking at like the SEA region when the game first came out. Oh, it was Tom. Okay, yeah. So like they see how it was like night and day in terms of what they saw before and what they saw now, and just to. Just to like a team secret too, I wanted to give a shout out. Which, by the way, Daniel, I'll put it in our I put it in our DMs here on Discord. Sorry, in our channel. Just the opportunities that were given to Dubstep, for example, too, and just for Secret, not only to play internationally, but this was also an opportunity for Dubstep to meet up with his father, if I'm not mistaken, right? So he hasn't seen his father, yeah. So like he was tweeting this out over here a couple of hours ago. He said, "My dad visited me in Berlin before VCT Champ started. I've never seen him. I've never seen him for around 6 years. So he lives in Europe. Got to meet up with him, and that gave the momentum and the boost as well for Dubstep to actually just play lights out and play the way that he did. So it's just wholesome to read these kinds of things as well for like,
oh my god,
how all of these opportunities for SEA has been so huge for the players themselves, not only to travel internationally to play, but to meet more players, to not have this opportunity usually from being in potentially countries that have less opportunities for competition and seeding to be able to compete at the worldwide stage. So I think this is super cool for Dubstep and for for the team itself.
That's actually incredible. I interviewed him after one of his matches, I think with Crazy Raccoon, because that was a team that obviously was an elimination match. Crazy Raccoon had been scrimming against them a lot. You know, these teams knew each other intimately from what we discussed. And yeah, I was talking with Dubstep before the interview, and we were. It actually amazed me his sort of mental fortitude just from the conversation we had, where I was saying, man, it really sucks we didn't get to see you guys before. Now this is right after they beat Crazy Raccoon, and they'd had a super close game versus Gambit. They knew they were going to be playing against Team Vikings up next, and we were just talking about saying like, man, it really sucks. And he was like, yeah, it is what it is. It's in the past, and he was like, yeah, it was actually 2 days after the deadline that the visas arrived. And I was like,
oh no,
I was losing my mind, dude. That's crazy. And he didn't mention anything about that, but to see like the way he was talking about the events that happened before and the games that they had just had and everything, and even about Crazy Raccoon, he had so much respect for them. And he said like it broke his heart seeing them because obviously the Japanese teams, they're emotional, they cry like as soon as they lose, it overwhelms them. And he was saying it really sucked. Like on the one hand, he's happy to win. It was like talking to Vans basically. It was like, I'm really happy to win, but I'm really sad that I hurt these guys. Like
I'm just glad to be here,
run across and hug them.
Yeah.
See, now you know. It's just a humble experience.
It's the kind of guy who defeats his opponent and cries because he beat them, because he's
he's like, I'm sorry I hurt you, bro. I wish I could let you win.
Which was also, I know we'll get to that point later on in the show, but like the grand finals too, once it was done.
Boasty got a free tent. Awesome.
Oh my god, dude.
God
yeah,
damn.
but at the end of the series too, was it Redguard that was like, hey, let me just cheer my colleagues later, and go like say goodbye to like my friends over at Crew. I think it wasn't the grand finals, but it was in the semis, right? Where that happened.
He took a moment.
The wholesomeness of all that. Our scene is fucking awesome right now, to be honest.
It is, dude. It really, Redgar especially. Can we just quickly give that man a shout out? I DM'd him and let him know because I feel like we need to show the appreciation to people like him. They won the game against Crew, which was one of the most intense games I have seen anybody have to play through on a LAN event. His whole team celebrates. He celebrates with them. Now, there's a whole thing that goes on behind the scenes when it cuts to replays. All the teams are sort of rallied up and they're brought to like the opposite end of the stage to set up that walkout where they, shake hands. And obviously they went along, they shook hands, they gave hugs to them. They were saying like, giving their little words as they always do. And when the rest of the team moved to the front of the stage where the camera is to do like the winning shot where they're all down in front of it and, celebrating, Redgar delayed us by like 30 seconds because he stopped I think it might have been Nags. I'm not sure. It was the last player to walk up anyways. And he stopped and he stood there talking to him. And you could see, I was turned around looking down at the stage and you could see him. I don't think it was caught on the camera, but he was talking to him in a very kind of like patting him on the back and saying like, you guys did really well and stuff like that. And the player was like thanking him. And it took him from crying into like a sort of, he walked away with a smile on his face. It's like the fact that Redgar is such a genuine and lovely human being that in the moment, instead of celebrate the victory they just had, which would be almost all that I think anyone would think about, he went, no, I'm going to comfort this guy, not on my team first, then I'm going to go enjoy myself. It's like that's just the kind of guy he is. It's the kind of guy he always is. One of the most genuine and nicest people on the planet. So I hope we keep seeing that. I hope we see more players like him as well. It's really something that I think needs to be appreciated.
For sure.
Let's look at our next quarterfinal. Excuse me, we're not even there yet. Because it's the last hope of North America trying to stand tall against a stacked field. And, well, one player took a big stand on this Cloud9 team for sure. Definitely one player stood out amongst the rest of his teammates, fans, but unfortunately they couldn't get across the line.
Definitely Leaf was a superstar for Cloud9 and for the future hope of NA looking into 2022. I think he had like one of those moments because we talked about how they kind of had LAN experiences, but when we listened to, I think it was Zeppa's interview during the group stages, I think he was saying how himself and Leaf, it was like their first event. So to have to perform early into a champion stage where, you know, it's the biggest event of the tournament, the biggest event of your career so far, and you were kind of shaky, right? And going into group play, Leaf was like at a point where, you know, myself, Sideshow, and everybody else was like, oh shit, like did we make a mistake to put Leaf into our top 20? Because he definitely didn't put those numbers in. But when it came down to like this series versus TL, or even like the second game onwards, he definitely found his footing, found his groove, and it definitely showed. From only like even his Sky was like, oh shit, I'm kind of scared of his Sky. He's played a series where he's only played Sky where he's supposed to step up as a Jet. What's going to happen right now that they're going to play a series against Team Liquid on Bind potentially where he's going to play a Sky? Well, there you go. Fucking 327 ACS, 8 first bloods. I mean, he was 8-7, but it shows how much he was still playing this role like a duelist and as much as he can in his aggressive style. That kind of caught Team Liquid off guard, and it showed up pretty well. You look at this series too. This clutch that Navarro just got, man, it could have gone either way on like a 50-50 of where Navarro was going to peak when the smoke was going to come out. So that was very smart of Navarro. I think the series overall was very good. But I definitely do think that Leaf needed a little bit more of a casting support into his series.
Yeah, Leaf was insane all tournament long. He walked out as the third highest rated player, considering so many of the games were close. Like it's not like they had a bunch of massive stomps to really farm up those stats. Like even in this game here, I'm just open the scoreboard.
Oh, dude,
Team
he's
Liquid
4K
C9.
in this map, dude. It was fucking insane.
Look at that drop, man.
Yeah.
Nasty. Like literally, they lost 2-0. They lost both maps, and Leaf was 53-36. He was +7 in opening duels.
Yep.
Like that looks, honestly, you do not see those stats in a game that you absolutely body your opponents.
And 10 of them was an Ascent. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately a lot of that is because there was so much of a gap to be filled. And I think it has to be said, Zeppa had a really, really bad tournament, really bad series, especially. So I feel for him, you can't just put it on him though. I mean, the entirety of the rest of the team was in comparison unavailable. They did not show up at all. Not available.
Crucially, Zeppa, right? I think Zeppa had a really, really quiet series. And I'm not even talking about that Ascent map either. I mean, you can maybe forgive like him not being able to get value out of KO. His teams are still trying to find their way around that. But it was, you know, the raise on Bind was just...
Astra raise as well. Even easier.
No, that's it. That's it. Astra raise those combos, but I think also like Zeppa on this map too. I feel like Team Liquid already figured out C9 in terms of how they played their Ascent, which is why maybe Zeppa couldn't get too much value out of the KO, right? When you're playing against how Scream and company were playing, they were playing on that map of Ascent. I think they were running only a single initiator too, so we were really going into anything that could actually stop your opponents as well, or trying to gather information. Like the non-information that you're able to gather with Zeppa was not taken advantage of as well from the rest of the team, and they were just able to avoid most of his kit in his type of play style anyways. So I think TL really came prepared into the series, and it shows the amount of work that Bacon and Sliggy has been putting into this too.
Yeah, one of the big things, you know, you want to try to use that knife to remove something like a Trailblazer or a drone, something like that, cancel out that utility. Well, you know, good luck, because that drone has got Scream underneath it running at you on a Reyna, knowing that he's going to be able to dismiss. And if you tag him, sure, okay. What about the other side? What about when they just don't push? And on the other side of the map, they've got Yumpy coming at you know what I mean? It's like,
I think Scream just wants that.
Push after. So, like,
Scream just wants that. He gets pinged. He's like, "Come at me, bro. I don't give a fuck. I'll still one tap you and fucking
It's a fair
dismiss."
fight. Yeah, it's still not a fair fight.
Exactly. So it was definitely a tough series for C9, but I think overall, even if you look at C9 throughout all of their runs, they've been all but close games too. Like they've put up a good fight in all of their games, right? Winning against Vision Strikers was already a big thing in itself, but losing against Fnatic, but they're all really, really close games. It shows how, for me personally, out of the 3 representatives in North America, C9 definitely came the most prepared out of this. Like they definitely looked the best out of this one.
Yeah, with all the criticism, you know, towards Sentinels, for example, about maybe just not really being prepared. Or I think I think that like a lot of, I mean, Shazam made it very clear that he had the strong impression that people were really harping on the lack of raise on Split, for example, and he felt like that was a really reductive way of trying to describe their, their failure.
I think. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Yeah, I was just gonna say against Crew.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's just I think it's really easy in this game, and it happens in every single game. It happens in CS where it's slightly more nuanced but then it just goes to scoreboard, where people will put the blame on someone, put the blame on a team. Oh, why did they, like when Liquid went with no smokes, or when a team plays no flashes or something like that. The way that you find out those things works is by trying them. It's by doing them. And like Crew, again, a great example. I think too many people think in like a 2-dimensional way about these teams. You look at Crew, you go, okay, well, Masters 2, they're shit. You know, Stage 2, Stage 3, they're shit. So they're shit. That's it, you know? And you have to wait until the moment that they prove to you that they're not, that their game plan works. If you really believe in it, you'll keep pushing even when it doesn't have results, right? You'll be like, no, we still think this is the correct thing to do. Let's keep pushing it. After, 3-4 months, maybe you start to think, oh, we'll change it. Liquid have always been very quick at adapting. They've always, they've tried it once, went, maybe this is going to be better. And they pivot. And that works for them. Super quick team. They like to change their meta quickly until they find something that works. And once they decide, that it could be better, they'll abandon ship and try something new. I don't think that you can sit down and go, they didn't play Raze on Bind, therefore they lost. Like, that's fucking insane. People who try to reduce teams and like the hundreds and thousands of hours that these guys put in to the game and to the theory crafting and just go, why didn't they play Raze? It's like, okay, all right, dude. Yeah, good point. Like, the conversation's already over when that starts. There's a lot of things that went wrong for them, and I think it's something that they'll be trying to figure out for months and months. So, that one comment on VLR, ain't
It's a great one.
doesn't carry so much weight.
I'm just very impressed about like the analysts in their armchairs being able to distill like a whole systematic issue down to like one concept. It's very impressive.
Yep. This guy put a trap there. Oh, is it? That's why they lost the BO5. Is it? Oh,
it all
okay,
goes downhill from there.
Yeah, he whiffed his shot. Too. Oh yeah, that one shot. Yeah. Good point.
So it's all about sort of packaging up these nuggets of wisdom so you can just whip them out, and try and win a Reddit argument like really quickly.
What was that meme like? The first to third bullet clearly missed. 7th was shaky. Something like that. You guys know what I'm talking about in this spread?
That's good. I like that. Yeah, that's the thing. It's honestly when people say if they just or they should have just shut the fuck up. That's like already. I'm not reading the comment that you've written because you're wrong. Like if it's just that one thing, it's not that one thing. There's more to it than that. It's just not what you should be doing. See?
Yeah.
Implying that it's so simple. I mean, it's funny. It's just, it is low hanging fruit for us as well because we see idiots do it all the time. But all right, shall we move on? Because of course, still more SEA teams to talk about because X10 obviously go up against Gambit in this third quarterfinal. And this was a fun series, man. I mean, I got a lot of enjoyment, especially out of these first couple maps here. In fairness, each map individually, maybe not super close here, but I think we definitely got to see a lot of the strengths of X10, just not straight out of the gates on Fracture because they got 3 rounds on defense. Really a tough start for them.
But that's what I like even more. The fact that the maps were like kind of one-sided, but to see that a team like X10 is able to defeat the champions of Berlin of Masters 3 and a runner-up of champions in a decisive map, even on the second map, right? At a 13-7 scoreline as well. Like, I think all 3 maps went like 13-7, right? In this series. So just to see that X10 was able to like dominate Gambit on Ascent shows, again,
how amazing that scene is looking right now at the end of 2021, and I'm really, really looking forward for 2022. I think that, like, I think looking at the roster in general is just what's going to happen with X10 going into 2022. Now that the rumors are of Pattypan going to Overwatch League going into the next year, right? So I think what they tried out at least to have, like, first off, to play with nothing to lose, definitely, like, you saw this loose style, and you saw the confidence coming out of it from a lot of these players that didn't have any fear of playing against such a powerhouse team like Gambit Esports, which is great. But then also trying out Sushi Boys on Jet was actually quite fucking awesome. Sushi Boys is actually a pretty decent Jet as well for this roster. Although when he played against Gambit, he was really playing only Sentinels roles, right? Because it depends on the maps.
I think
he's going to play Jet on.
Haven,
exactly.
He plays Killjoy on Haven.
Yeah, I think he's going to play Jet on Icebox, if not mistaken.
Right.
But nonetheless, this comes to show that this roster will still have good potential with Sushi Boys going to play a Jet if he has to replace Pattypan.
It is weird,
I think.
though.
Yeah, it is. But just to say, tit for tat, when you're going to have to replace and fill Pattypan's shoes, I think that Sushi Boys is going to be able to do it. Now they just got to find somebody that's going to be able to replace Sushi Boys in his Sentinel role, because he's been putting up big numbers on that role as well.
And that honestly gives you a lot of freedom. I like the approach of having a player try to flex into different depth, especially when you know you're going to be losing that player. It was immediate knowledge. Like, the second that Pattypan lost their last game, this game, immediately he was crying, and he said that was my last map of Valorant. So it was known going into that, like, if we lose or whenever we lose or at the end of the tournament, Pattypan's gone. It now gives them the freedom to be like, hey, look, Sushi Boys, you can maybe be the Jet, but we can trial Jets as well. We can also trial Sentinels. We can see what iteration of this lineup we like the best. It's something that not enough teams do. And honestly, a duelist is the easiest person to replace on any roster. Having someone that comes in and plays your Rays, your Jets, something like that. There are a million players out there who want to play that role. There are players. Look at, again, to bring up Alliance, just because I have that personal knowledge. Looker started playing Jet afterwards. He is probably, like, after I left, he's probably the best Breach and Sky I've seen, at least in terms of his impact on a team. And supportively, he's incredible. But he jumped onto a Jet. It's something that he's wanted to do. Obviously, he used to be an NIP as well. And you see so many players now that are playing roles like a support, like a smoker, something like that. And previously they were a Jet, because you can't be two-dimensional anymore. But if it's what you need for a roster like X10 who like to just have that one Jet player, yeah, they've got a lot of freedom now to scout around all the different teams that are out there. One thing that I will say that's kind of freaking me out, like, maybe we'll touch it next week with, like, some roster rumors or something like that. But I've heard a lot of stuff about teams already looking to pick up players, like, immediately, like, looking to do so in the next week. There is a whole off season where you can, like, people are going to become available. More people are going to become available. Teams are going to disband, all that sort of stuff. And I really feel like people need to pump the brakes on just rushing into a roster, Find something that's right, put it together right, because we've seen a bunch of teams that had potential. I mean, look at the likes of Fabrican and stuff that ended up being FPX. Those two teams on their own, pretty good. But when you get the right combination, world class. That's what I want to see moving forward. Just take more time.
I just gotta. I mean, sorry, I hit my mic at the same time, but I just gotta say, like, even you want to take your time, but you kind of can't, right? The next season is already starting in 2022.
Yeah.
The qualifiers are starting fucking like the 14th of January, literally like a month or some shit like that, right? So you kind of have to move quick. Where it kind of sucks is that, and I know we're digressing a bit as usual, but there's already that conversation on Twitter to say, like, I think I was thinking about Prodigy Agency. I think like the French agent that takes care of the players there. He was talking about it. Yeah, exactly, Jérôme. He was saying, like, well, you're looking at the end of the year, but Christmas and New Year's is already coming up. So then rosters are already kind of like formed for next year. So it's
imagine if C9 Blue had an extra couple months before they came to Champions, for example.
Imagine NA had an extra couple months on everyone else.
Fuck you.
Imagine NA had like a tier 3, tier 2 scene that actually got supported and grew. So technically and theoretically, they'd be the best region in the world. So imagine that. Imagine
people are shocked though. Like,
imagine they didn't make semis. Sorry.
People are shocked that Pattypan is leaving X10, I think, or leaving Valorant, but
Yeah.
Can we just put this into perspective? Excuse me. X10's not a huge org. Patapon is going to the Los Angeles Gladiators, which is owned by KSE, which is the team that owns the Guard, right?
Yes, yes.
His base salary will be quite nice. I think that maybe if Patapon got an offer from an NA Valorant team, he might have taken that, to be honest with you. But like for someone from his background, obviously from Thailand, it's actually fucking mental.
Can I ask you a question, Uber?
Yeah, you can. I see the shit
feel like you're gonna
already though. So
feel like you're gonna just move on from this one. Do you think that was a good career move?
moving from Valorant to the Overwatch League.
Do you support Patapan's decision? Feel free to just move to the next topic. I think that's a loaded question, no matter what you say.
So Fnatic versus Crew.
Who do you piss off today?
Was obviously the fourth on the list of the games we have to talk about in this first block. So definitely, good time to move on to that. I think.
Good point,
because it was a game of Valorant that happened in this tournament, and one of the teams that lost had to get eliminated. Pretty crazy shit. Anyway, Haven was up first, and oh my goodness, this was. This series, right, in general, in all seriousness, right, guys, pretty incredible series. In fact, it seems like every series that Crew played in after their first match was just one for the books, right? I think we saw Fnatic show their teeth a little bit on Icebox. And then they just got rolled on less split, which just seemed to be where Crew won their series most of the time. But this was quite an epic struggle here. Looking at Haven,
it felt like Fnatic had this in the bag in the first map for sure. I think just when you're looking at Fnatic on the attack, everything was going well. The defense, was so-so, is going back and forth, where you saw that Crew was starting to come back in the game. But to feel the dominance from Fnatic on the first half, it felt like they were probably be prepared, onto the second half. What I noticed going into the second half for Crew was that they changed the pacing as well from gear to gear, and instead of not always defaulting, but sometimes just going into this fast pace. Let's just have Nagzet dash to create some space, and then have some people right behind Kesnit going in to get the kills, because as a jet opper, you kind of want your jet usually to be the superstar on the top of the board, but unfortunately Nags had the most impactful frags, but wasn't the best player in the server there for Crew. But it allows for him to just hold that W on those few rounds that caught Fnatic off guard, that had the rest of the Crew, no pun intended, behind him to actually be able to bring this game into an overtime matchup.
Yeah, I think that really confuses me, because some games, I guess it's consistency. Some games he is horrendous. He's a really bad jet player. And I say that having been one of the people that got super pissed off back in the day when Split, Jets on Split, people would be like, actually, Yassine's having a very bad game. No, motherfucker, Yassine's dashing in first every round and dying, but getting traded. They win the site and they win the post plant.
He wasn't playing entry on Haven, though.
That sort of stuff killed me. But yeah, when
Kesnit.
exactly. That's the point, right? On Haven, that's not what he was doing. On Haven, he was an op jet, and he was a shit op jet. And that's the problem for me with Nags. It's sometimes but especially and coming into the future maps, he really fucking delivered on Icebox, especially that we're looking at here. He delivered on Icebox in some of the early rounds and then closed off. On Split, again, the same thing. Split will always have its excuses to it. I'm not that worried. But when it came to the Gambit game, he was fantastic. And if he was always like he is in the Gambit game, I'm 100% behind him. I'm there for it. But you can't turn up one game and then the next miss 90% of your shots.
Kesnick has 28 kills on Icebox. The rest of his team combined has 31. Yeah. And he's playing fucking entry. Playing Reyna. He's playing first in Reyna. This is fucking unreal.
Look at those numbers.
Look at Nax's first kill, first death on Icebox.
Dude, I swear to God, I wish they had accuracy, bullet accuracy, not on hits or on shots. With an op, I swear I saw Nags shoot at least 40 times on players standing still. It was crazy. He used the reason that he only has 5 first deaths is because he was dashing out of the way most of the time. They're pushing down tube, take a shot, miss, dash out, and he'll die later in the round when he takes a shot and misses. It was crazy how bad he was. And I mean, that's saying he has a high skill ceiling, but where he is on a normal game on any given one is it's low. It's low.
Yeah. But that's why again I'm thinking like the changing pace, changing gear of what you have from crew. So maybe it's just tactically, it's like Nagzet, you're gonna try to op a little bit on the attacker side.
Yeah,
You're gonna
the
try to
pressure of
make
the event as well. A huge thing.
Yeah,
Like
for sure,
he's super
for sure.
young, new to the roster. Like he has a bunch of excuses. He's the kind of guy I need to see. If he does that again for 2 more international events, then he's a bad player. But right now, I think he had a bad tournament. I hope he had a bad tournament.
Yeah.
So what, you're going to give him 2 whole international events before you make up your mind?
So Masters 1, Masters 2 of 2022.
Yeah, maybe
generous.
Masters 1 and then, you know, kind of see how it goes. But I think if he plays like that at Masters 1, he won't be on the team for Masters 2. Let's put it that way.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
there's too many better options. Like there are jets that you can get that will do exactly what he does, but do it literally 3 times better. So why would you stick with lower win prob?
Yeah, it's actually it's unfamiliar territory for me to look into the Latin America scene or just in general what kind of jet you could get, unless they want to import somebody from like international waters. But yeah, I think he kind of like it worked for what they had for crew. The Cinderella story that they had for our run 2 was really good for crew at the same time. But would have that been the difference if Nags was able to play a little bit better in that tournament?
If Nags was Leaf, they would have won the tournament.
Well,
like, if you know what I mean?
I think if anybody else had Leaf, they would have won the tournament too.
Well,
yeah, as long as they weren't an NA team.
Fnatic didn't have Leaf. They did have Durka, and this guy was fucking filthy. You know, I think I remember seeing Josh made some apology. I remember just seeing him say that. But a lot of people,
the elf video.
Yeah, a lot of people like mad underrated Durka coming into this, right? Wouldn't put him on the top X or whatever, which is fine. It's whatever, right? We saw less from Fnatic than almost any other team in the lead up to this event. So
correct.
Look, I'll allow this, but the guy is pretty insane across this entire series, across Fnatic's entire showing, right?
Yeah.
We have a chance here, and I want to slip this in here because this is the last time we talk about Fnatic in the show. We've just heard that Doma is being moved to in an active position on this roster. We don't know for who yet, unless we've had another Getty's grenade while we've been talking. But this is, I mean, this is a bit of a reckoning in this team, right? They make a big change, moving Doma out of the roster here.
Yeah,
cut his hair off for them. He shaved his head.
I know.
Man's looking like a tall version of Tom now, and this is what he gets. That's a big price to pay.
Yeah, heartbreaking. And I think that's again going back to that conversation as we were talking before, right? He's like, okay, well, unfortunately, he's benched, but if the roster's already finalized, he might not have a chance to play maybe in the first qualifiers next month for anybody else that's recognizable or renowned as a team to try to get a better chance to qualify into the EMEA playoffs. And there you go. This is the apology of Josh over on Durka. To ever doubt Durka ever again, never, ever again. Same thing for me. I think even got to give the shout out to George Geddes where he was saying like, I thought he was just memeing at that point because he's friends with Durka, but we finally with Upcomer decide that he was going to be 20th. But he's definitely way up there compared to the performances or compared to however we thought he was supposed to be ranked at. He played a superb tournament right now for Fnatic.
Did Doma underperform at this in this event? I don't think he had a bad series against crew, right?
I don't necessarily think so. I don't necessarily. I think it stems further than that now. At that point, you're trying to find somebody that's going to flex really well, right? Because Doma had to play 3 different roles into that series. So he played like he played a Sky, a Sage, and also a KO. Yeah. And even his KO looked apparently like can't remember what it looked like on Split because you're using a KO on Split. But you know, if he was able to put those numbers up, then it's not necessarily on performances. I think it might stem into like just how the chemistry of the team needs to work together to get into the next step. And if you're trying to find the next best piece, then maybe it's more that there's somebody that's available currently in the free agency pool that might be able to do a little bit more that Fnatic is looking for, and nothing against Doma. Right?
I figured it out, guys. I saw some numbers on that page that were lower than other players' numbers on the same team. So pretty
exactly
fucking elementary, really. Like
that's
it's
exactly
just look. I don't make the fucking rules. I don't make the rules, guys. There's sub 200 ACS on stage. Get him out. Get him out.
Get him out of here. Kick him out.
Yeah.
I feel like definitely it's not a situation that he's not good enough. It is something going on behind the scenes, some sort of team decision. I'm sure we'll hear about further on into the future. But I'll say expectations very high for whoever's going to come in and fill those boots. Most definitely. They got to be.
I think Doma actually failed to hit the high note when Boaster got everybody around for their rendition of "You Got a Friend in Me." as they
makes
walked out of
sense.
the venue. Doman, he just missed the spot. He didn't quite have the pizzazz that Boaster was looking for, and he's been keeping the truth.
You friended me.
All right, that's our quarterfinals.
But good luck to Doma. Good luck to Doma at least, man.
Yeah.
I think it's not it's going to be a great addition to anybody else that is going to be looking into him for sure.
Also, I think I mean, it was shared. I think our resident juice merchant, Rusted Silver, I think mentioned that Cultimentor is going to Guild, as well as who the fuck's Trex? Huh? Who's
I
that?
don't know, but then Saya player just got cut by T1 officially now too. So there's just a lot of shit going on. We're gonna have to do a lot of recapping next week.
Trex is a pretty good player.
As an OG, right.
I think we trialed him. We scrimmed against him a long time ago when I was in Alliance, and this guy, he's solid. He's a good pickup. He's gonna be in AWOL for a little while. I'm looking here, 5 months? Not been playing officially. Could be doing other stuff. I don't know if he jumped to a different game. I haven't been keeping
to be
tabs,
fair,
but...
he was on that OG team, so I think that actually explains it, right? He just, he couldn't obey the French overlords, and just, gave him concrete booties, tried to eliminate him. Didn't quite work. He's back with a vengeance. Okay. Very, very strong player, sends Anders, who is allegedly hails from North America, although I don't know if main counts, but that's fine. I'm not a geography major. All right. So we will let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this graphic one more time. The bracket. That's the one. To recap this. So yeah, this results in, I mean, we almost had 4 out of 4 EMEA teams in the semifinals.
Thank fucking God we didn't.
And you know what? Like, it would have been a really reasonable. It would have been a reasonable guess. In fact, I felt it in my giblets, guys. Either way, at this point, you can safely say that, with Crew just being an incredible run-through team, I think a lot of people are hoping to see Crew make at least into the final. Even if you're an EMEA fan, maybe maybe you didn't want to see complete dominance. I mean, it really depends on the kind of person you are, but I think a lot of people hoping to see Crew go further. That was a pretty incredible series. I think what we'll do, we're going to be joined by Mimi Gaming, of course, aEvilCat, to talk through some of these semis a little bit, but she is not here yet. But I think we will still start, right?
Yeah, fuck it.
We'll still start talking about some of these.
Show must go on.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the semifinals. Let's sing it. The EMEA matchup, Ascend versus Team Liquid, a game that promised to be so fucking good. For audio viewers, we're looking at the walk-ins right now, which I think were very, very good. I mean, they moved to the Verdi Music Hall away from their venue in Potsdam, I believe it was initially.
Correct.
Great part of Berlin, if you could call it part of Berlin, which is a bit of a stretch, but yeah. But this was I couldn't tell they moved venues. I mean, it looked more epic, I suppose, but it didn't really occur to me. Really, really cool walk-in here as we see Liquid and Ascend take the stage.
Yeah, it was incredible to actually be in the room, and the other venue is very similar. It is a separate stage. They were both built at the same time, right? Or close to, so it's not like one was dismantled and moved, which was my first question. I was like, I assume you're not actually going to try to do that in a night. And yeah, we pulled up. There's a small few things that are different. The main thing is the lights in the background. There's like some orange lights that look really weird in person. I don't know how they came up on stream. There's also where they walk out. Riv pointed it out. I didn't have this confirmed by anybody in production, but Riv pointed out that the lights behind them in the opening ceremony, that kind of like V shape that they walk through, or like upside down V and then back up, it represents the trophy. The way they light it, it's shaped the same, which is pretty cool. Whether I assume that wasn't an accident.
I mean, if that had to be really explained to you, Mitch, though, I don't know, like, just how effective
it's
implementation
but this is the thing. It's sort of like
Mitch
very
doesn't know
nuanced.
shapes.
They're sort of artsy with it. It's like you look at it, and you're like, oh, it's just a
upside
stage.
down V,
But then
guys.
you look closer, and you're like, oh, look at all these little things that are going on.
Sure.
Pretty cool. Listen, I was locked in a room for a week. Okay, all this shit. I'll take whatever I can get, man. Everything was coming. It's like, oh, there's people there. I can see people. That's so cool.
Well, look at the lights.
Right. Yeah. Look, I mean, considering they didn't have an audience in the venue, I think that the way that they, really worked to create a immersive experience for people that were watching the broadcast was really commendable. And they set they've set the standard, I think, for you know, events like this. No doubt about it. If I see the Overwatch League try and pump us into a dog shit virtual set one more time after seeing that, I'm straight up just going to fucking walk out. I'm going to walk out because, you know, now we know what you can do in a space without a crowd. And it's quite significant. So really impressed by that.
Bring me fucking Uber 2022.
Wait,
Just for
we'll
the
see
scene,
what
not
happens.
just for
Yeah,
me, just
maybe
for the
they'll
scene.
cut me from my contract that I'm still under because I was so belligerent and you know, unwilling to work with them. I expect there'll be a step up there. But can we talk? Can we talk about this match then?
We can.
Before I get fired, before I can collect enough of the money that I wanted to get. First of all, Killers, is he Spanish or Ukrainian? Because he had a Spanish flag around him when he walked out, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's half Spanish and half
Okay.
Finnish. I forgot what his
Ukrainian, I
nationality-
think, right?
Ukrainian? Okay, yeah.
He's both. He can
Where
be
did
both,
that
everybody.
come
That's
from?
fine. I got confused because on VLR he has the Ukrainian flag, but then he has like a Spanish one on him as well. That's totally
It's a
fine.
strange one to
Yeah.
get confused. I've never heard someone confuse Ukraine with Finland.
Yeah, I mean, only an American. Oh, sorry,
Listen,
you're not even American. Holy shit. I can't even use that on you. I mean, Vance, that's not.
I thought it was just like the Mandela effect or something. I don't know. It's like I'm just trying to flash through my brain. I was like, what color flags was it? What did it look like? And it just looked like it was a Finnish flag. That just
Mandela
first thing that
effect.
popped in my head. I don't know.
love
European. I don't fucking know.
Okay. You're killing me, dude. I mean, you're
Anyways,
absolutely killing me. Like,
this
Canadians
series,
are supposed to be
amazing.
better than that.
Yeah,
Alright, go
no.
on.
Well, I mean,
Was this really amazing? Was
there are some exceptions.
Vance, this Liquid got 11 fucking rounds across the series. Are you sure you want to double down on the amazing call?
I think amazing for Ascend. I think at this point, what I kind of like looking at the series between Ascend and TL was that, again, very similar to what I was saying before. It feels like TL this time feels like they maybe won like the map vetoes against Ascend just because they got into a series. Thank you. Ukrainian, I see it.
Flag
now.
of Spain.
Yeah.
Flag
And
of Ukraine.
Yeah. I see it. I mean, if you actually put me a flag of Finland, I would have known it was Finland too.
Put up a flag of two Nordic countries. One is Finland, one is somewhere else, and let's get Vans to identify.
Oh, that could
All right,
actually
let's
be
try.
amazing.
While I
Do you
explain
do you
this,
know
try to find it for
Scandinavian
me,
flags,
Daniel,
Vance?
and then we'll see.
Can I get Iceland and Norway
What
side by
colors?
side and see if you can do that?
All right, let's try it out. Norway is red anyways, and Finland is blue, so it's all good. Right? Anyways,
Yeah.
Scream. They went into a map veto where you would think that it would be looking good for Team Liquid because they actually got into a map series where they could really just focus on Scream playing Reyna, where he's been very, very shaky playing Jet, for example, on Breeze against Cloud9. And you know, you saw some good work coming out of TL when he actually pulled out a KO into the work with Soulcast, not only on this map, but also onto Breeze, where you're like, okay, well, they've put some work in, they put some studies in, but in the end, it comes down to where are the players comfortable enough? So after seeing how Scream kind of dominated on Bind and on Split against Cloud9, I would assume now looking at these vetoes like, oh, nice. We're able to have a deal play all three maps potentially just as Reyna, and we could potentially win this series. But it definitely was the opposite of the results, not because of Scream's performances, because it was still very good, but it's, again, more on how Ascent looked amazing. And how annoying is Link with a fucking judge in hookah? Oh my god, was he tilting me when they were playing against Cloud9.
I'll tell you, Zilf was just rubbing his hands together watching this event. Amount of
Hated it.
judge
Hated it.
plays that we had, man.
Hated it.
It's viable. That's the sad thing. I mean, not quite to the extent that we've seen the Bucky meta or anything like that before, Bucky FC and the boys, but it's still pretty scary. So I think we're probably going to see some changes to it. Honestly, it just strikes me as too cheap of a gun when you have the actual genuine option to low eco buy, have a chamber who can just fucking duel on range every round, one tapping people. Have a new updated Yoru as well. Imagine that Yoru, you're playing the likes of your shotguns again. Like there's so many things that will be very annoying coming into next season that I think are going to get patched out pretty quickly.
All right,
Yeah.
Vance. Pop quiz.
yeah.
Quiz, mate.
All right.
Which one of these?
Let's go.
Which one of these? Which one is which, mate?
Okay, Finland on the right and then Norway on the left.
Oh.
All right, next one.
It's not Norway,
So-
you fucking idiot. Is it Norway?
You wanted me to like fucking
Oh, it is,
just
yeah,
pretend
it
I
is,
was
it is.
stupid?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
I should
You
put
really
Norway and
wanted it to
Denmark
not
next
be
to each
Norway.
other.
You really
Yeah.
wanted it.
Actually, it would have been a better test if it was like you asked me which one's Norway, which one's Finland, and Norway is actually a different country.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh
yeah.
yeah, you
shit.
idiots,
Could've
Norway's
fucked
on the
with you.
left.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, Norway and Iceland next to each other would have been pretty good like that.
We'll get,
That's all right.
we'll get him next time.
But
All right,
so
all right.
Anders in the chat was saying, imagine playing into Ascend on Vine, right? Where Ascend has been unstoppable on that map too. But I feel again that confidence that came out from TL after getting thrashed by Sentinels 13-2, but also beating Cloud9 on it. I think that was like, okay, well, we might have some recipe, like some solution to be able to beat Ascend on this map if we actually have Scream on this arena. If we play around that that type of play style, then it could maybe work out. But it definitely didn't in the end.
I mean, Scream still had a really high impact, right? I feel like he had a good series overall. I mean, he was fucking damn. I mean, talk about he might be the most successful experiment bringing a CS player over. I mean, I know that's hard to say because there are so many, but I mean, his consistency over this event, right, is pretty undeniable.
Agreed. Like events, the year from CS to this game, I think he's just consistent. Period. So you could never count or not count on Scream because he's always going to be there and he's always going to turn up. So that's already a huge thing right there. Nevera was probably another one that we gave a lot of props to with the brother buff and exactly not losing a single series. His first pistol round in his Valorant career, it's an ace. He's popping off here in this tournament, but then against Ascend, well, unfortunately, it wasn't also. We didn't see the Scream and Nevera show. We didn't see like the Link show either going into this series against Ascend. I think every single one of these players played very well throughout the event, but I think they peaked a little bit too early. Where now when it comes down to this matchup versus Ascend, well, that's the result that we got in the end. I don't know if it's like the nerves. I was like, okay, we're only one step closer. We feel like we're undefeated right now. You listen to their interview going into their event, like that day off on media day on Friday. It was even, I think, Link himself that said, we're miles ahead of everybody else. Everybody feels readable, and we're just confident that this is going to work. So you're riding on this high that you're, potentially just underestimating everybody going into the semifinals to the finals, and then you get the results that you got in the end too. Were you complacent because of that?
Why the
I think
fuck?
Sorry, no. I mean, I was just going to say, I think a lot of it as well is Ascend being intimately familiar with Liquid, knowing what they like to do, like getting aggressive. I think it's similar to what Gambit will have faced off against Ascend in the finals. Is that Ascend just know these teams super well. They know how to really upset the rhythm that they go for in the early round, which is putting you on the back foot. Well, Ascend know you're going to do that, so they're not caught off guard by it. They're ready for those kind of plays. They're ready for Gambit's defaults. They're not coming in and getting like losing a couple of swing rounds because Gambit tries something that they have up their sleeve, because Ascend know what they have up their sleeve and they're ready for it. They're counting for it as they move forward. So I think that Ascend have also been insanely underestimated. They weren't in my top 5 teams coming into this event. They weren't in the vast majority of people's. Screw winning it, making it to finals, I wouldn't have put them there.
And the
I know
Vivo
that they're a
Key
strong
series
team,
was
but
shaky anyway.
yeah,
even
exactly right. Like this was not a team that even 2 days into the event you would go, they're gonna make finals. Yeah, they look really good.
And here's also the thing: it's like because you're looking at Ascend on Breeze on top of that, where during Berlin they got the huge comeback from 100 Thieves and lost in OT, where Nitro just got the most impactful kills going into the last rounds of that series. Then they're playing against Vivo Key with the bug camera, where they lost that map but eventually had to replay it when they have a lead of 7-0.
Barely fucking won
against you again, and barely fucking won. And then Starso's just like dancing on the stage, whatever, like having fun, which is fucking great. I love it, by the way. But all that pointed to the fact that Breeze probably is not going to be in their map pool. By great, they're unstoppable on that map. But how deep is their map pool? Are they actually that inconsistent because of the results that we've seen on their performances on Breeze? And then you just saw how, it was just a switch that got flipped, and then they just dominated the rest of the tournament. It was fucking beautiful to watch from Ascend.
I really don't like watching Breeze. I think it's a really boring map.
I mean, it's that and Icebox, bro, if we want to talk about those maps. So
yeah, dude. The thing is,
double Viper wall on A side.
Yeah, man. It's just like, fuck, man.
Drone
You're playing
and
retake
shit.
every fucking round, man.
Boring. And I think the same thing with see, Icebox is myself and Tom's least favorite map to cast. When we see that as an opening game in a matchup, we are upset. We get through it, but we're always like, oh fuck, okay, I'm gonna need a Red Bull before this one. 'Cause the pacing is just so weird, dude. It's so it's draining. It's really I don't think it's that draining to play, but out of all the maps, I think it's probably is the most draining to play, and definitely the most draining to cast for us at least. And then Breeze, yeah, I'm with you. It's just like it really takes the life out of you going through those maps when they're long and drawn out and one-sided, and that's the problem. I don't care if a map goes to 17 overtimes, but when a map is like 11-1 and then OT because another team got 11-1, I'm just like, come on, dude. I don't want to watch this. And I think that's you know, we're gonna obviously get on to the finals, and then we'll remember this point about Breeze.
Explain to me why TL get only one attacking round on split. What the fuck is going on in this series? Like, what is going on? That second map was just flat from them.
Yeah, and like this game was supposed to be incredible. You know, both quarter, especially when you about semi. Sorry, especially when you consider the whole event, as we said earlier on, the whole event was bangers. Like every single game was really, really good. And then we get to this. And ACEND Team Liquid, they're both solid. They're both on good runs at this stage. Everyone's kind of fired up for it, and it's over in like.
Are they like
Liquid don't even get 12
rounds? Yampi not like what kind of Astra player is Yampi? Like, is this a comfortable switch for him? Are they getting value out of this Astra util? Like, if they're trying to attack, like what the fuck?
So he hasn't played very much Astra, I'll tell you that. And at least the players I worked with, the progression of swapping onto an Astra was torture. It's like people. I've had players like turn to me when we were building the roster and stuff and be like, I'll play anything except Cypher or Killjoy. Like, I don't want to play a Sentinel. I'll kill myself. Like, that's just genuinely like, I'd rather not play professionally than Cypher. Astra's even worse. Like, Astra's so much worse.
Really? I'm an Astra main.
I love her. I absolutely love playing Astra. I love players that play
on and off on that agent for sure.
But it just removes players from the action, right? The way you're going to play that in a team is so far off pace with what a professional player normally wants to do, because you're removing yourself from the action most of the time. You're positioning yourself. Like, a lot of teams are using her as a lurk now, same way as you would Cypher, leave him on the other side of the map, try to get him to take control there. And you're still, the problem is if you're doing that as Cypher, you're holding the back. If you're doing that as an Astra, you're holding the back, but also engaged in the push by like putting down your smokes and stuff. So you're not trying to find space. You're not trying to do a Nats and sneak in behind them.
Lurking effectively because you can't.
Exactly. You are staring at a wall, then falling back 5 meters, going, popping my stars, back staring at a wall again. And then, oh, you need a smoke? Okay, I'll look there, press E, and now I'm back staring at a wall again. That's your round, and it's not fun to play. Putting Yumpy on one of those is the weirdest choice I've ever seen.
Plays the Brimstone, you know, when they were doing that on Bind. You know, I mean, I would have thought that he would take this role, but
I also think that looking at probably some of the rounds for TL was a lot of like these five take site hits instead of like 4-1 splits, 3-2s. Not a lot of mid control, or if there was mid control, then you were miding on the extremities. And I don't think they had that many opportunities to pull rotations, right? Because when it comes down to just them trying to get the first initial fights, CNET was also pretty much there to like kind of stop them in their tracks. And then you try to go for these 5 take site hits again. You get into the site, but then you have Mimi.
What's up,
you have nobody
Mimi
that's
gang?
actually yeah. Go ahead. Let Mimi say hi first.
Hello, I'm here. I'm Mimi. We're out here. How are you guys?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Talking about TL, molding about TL.
Their quarterfinals or their semis?
Sammy.
This is semis now.
Yeah, that was not a good game for them.
So yeah, we but what I asked him, Mimi, is why what is this one attacking round on split nonsense from TL? A team who we were like, they could be in the grand final quite easily. Could be them and Fnatic, really.
Yeah.
Didn't go that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just disappointed coming in. So initially when I see the comp they're bringing out, I had high hopes, especially for attacking side, because this is where we're letting Scream loose, right? He gets to play his Freyna. We heard this in interviews from Slingy where we were moving over. We were playing into the comfort for some of these star players. And then it just like, it feels like things completely fall apart. For a composition that is so set on creating space, especially for Soulcast and Link kind of working together with that breach, it just felt like the synergy wasn't hitting. Sure, Scream was always having his standout moments, but there was no consistency. The team, like Van said, even in the previous maps, it didn't feel like they were really playing the space. It was a lot of hard hits, which makes sense with the their comp, but ACEND was just doing such a good job of just shutting it down every single time. So it's not like they got anything done out of it, and then they failed to adapt. I almost feel like there was probably some mental components in there because they come off a map, a rough map 1, come into map number 2 here, and just nothing gets better.
It's very difficult when you're trying to get initially into a site when you're doing a 5 take or a 4-1, but you already lose 2 or 3 players off one anchor player. So once you are able to take control of a site 2 for TL, then you lose control of, let's say, B heaven, A heaven, any type of retake or any type of holds on rotation. There's no players there to allow that or prevent that from happening in the earlier steps of scaling back on the retakes from ACEND. So ACEND are always playing like this like 4-2 retake or something like that just booms Team Liquid on their post plays.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the side of ACEND too, because they run a wacky comp on this map, but it works so well for them. Like that Bone Cold Omen, the way they would like pop a one-way, have Zeke satchel in for the early kind of aggression. It felt like Team Liquid never really had a reply because they lost that map control, and they made kind of the right call. And okay, we're going to just go and try and hit quickly elsewhere since we've lost that space. But they never even tried like fighting back in. They never even tried trying to make a change. And it just felt so stagnant for me when I was watching this map.
What about the Bone Cold Broman? What do you feel like he adds, you know, outside of playing the Astra?
So I'm a Broman hater. I'm gonna be real. I hate him. I don't like him. I made a tweet right after they won. I was like, if every team starts playing Omen, I'm gonna have an aneurysm because he's not good for most teams. Astra's so much better in pretty much every way, but he has epic paranoia, which is very cool. And now that Sky is falling out of meta, I feel like he can kind of almost take up some of the roles that those kind of pretty star players who, not like your star, but the solid fragger that was playing on that flex role can come in and pick it up. I think it only works for some teams, but the way they were using it was the synergy between either Zeke and Bone Cold or CNET and Bone Cold, using the Omen to make space. Yeah, there's my tweet. I was just like, go ahead, Van.
My ace, I was just going to say, my ace that I tweeted from my ranked games yesterday was playing as Omen. And then I got another ace actually playing as Omen as well. I think Omen's...
well, obviously Omen's meta now. Every competitive team should be picking him up if Alex aces with the character.
So now in ranked games, everybody's going to play Omen and everybody's going to do a bug camera on Breeze.
Yeah.
That's all my fucking ranked games right now.
Apparently.
So the only reason I can see him not superseding Sky is that he just doesn't gather information very effectively. Right.
It's like my tweet said, it only works for specific teams. Teams that have these hyper-aggressive players that can capitalize off that one way. It's not going to work for, I think, like, if we talk about a team like Gambit, I don't think an Omen would work for the way they play because their controllers are fairly individualistic players. Like if we talk about like Nats especially, that are lurk heavy, that are being a little further back. With the Omen, you almost need someone who can help out and create that duo similar to what we had with Sky. And while it has some overlap, it's a very different role because it's not that information heavy play. You have to face check. You have to play it like CS when you're getting Omen info.
Yeah, I think it's very much a system that you're not going to see every single team do it, but there will be certain specialist teams purely not because they think that it's like super meta and it's like the best way to play, but just with the players they have. It's just plain and simple. Some teams will find it hard to play an Astra. Some teams will find it hard to play a Jet, for example. Like I think that finding value as a Jet, and I think we've had that conversation with Crew already. We'll probably have it coming into the next game, but there are some teams that should not be playing Jet because their Jet players are shit. They do not matter. Like you have to actually sit back and look at what are we giving up if we have a Jet, and not in the game, not in the ability she has, in our gameplay and in the games that we play in our officials, is it worth us having it? And not enough teams do that. Teams go, oh, but this team is playing meta and they do very good comp with this. It's like, okay, are you them? Can you play it like CNED? Can you play Jet like Leaf? No. So stop trying. Just either like you got to make those decisions, and I think Omen's going to be the same thing where some teams will be able to play him and make it look very convincing, but if everyone else tries to copy that, shit's going bad real quick.
That's how I felt when we had that kind of that time in NA where everyone saw like the Sentinels like Phoenix Haven comp and started copying that. And that pissed me off. Because Phoenix is awful. He's not a good agent whatsoever.
Victor and Drone were both just fucking playing Phoenix whenever they
were terrible on it. Like, it didn't make sense just because it works for one team. And I think this is a good move for the game, right? Where we have these agents that can be specialists that some people play. Like, that we don't have to see, like, Astra, Viper, Sky, Sova, and a Jet, every single map for every single team. Having these more specialist roles makes sense. That's why I'm happy to see Breach back. I'm happy to see a little bit of Omen back. It's not the optimal, perfect way to play the game if we were on a chessboard, but that's not where we're at with this game right now.
It worked for how Bonko played it with the rest of the team too on the map. Like the one ways we're annoying to deal with. That
he
was
doesn't
one
like
thing.
the Astra. Like he just feels good on the agent, and he's a star fragger when he needs to be. He steps up.
Out of
and he
these
did it
two
way better on the Omen.
teams, ACEND are not going to be the ones catching smoke for having really inflexible compositions, right?
Yeah.
No, exactly. Exactly.
Liquid are just so stodgy trying to fit them into like these different looks, and I think that really hurt them. Let's crack on though to what might have been one of the best series of the whole tournament, right? I mean, it was definitely up there. Gambit versus Crew, the Cinderella story continues, and I mean Gambit. Obviously very high expectations here, but we're starting to wonder, like, what's it going to take to stop this vivacious, this aggressive, this team that really is at times completely carried by Kesnet? What is it going to take to stop Crew? Well, we found out.
Yeah. I mean, I think if we kind of go through it by map and we start talking about Breeze, first off, Crew looked so good out the gate. The way they were playing, like, Nags was just having a ringer of a game, and I was kind of a fan of what the KO was looking like in that first half, using those knives for aggression to allow the push up. Once you get that op in Nags' hands, use him for information. Off of that, it really felt like they were enabling this player, and it was working well for them, and Gambit was hitting a bit of a wall in that regard, right? We have thrown up, and then straight through comes the KO off of that. The initiation utility was working really nicely, and Gambit, for a team with so many strong fraggers, just felt a little shut down by that amount of utility. When you have Delzik having a pretty solid game on the Viper too, you start to look good. Then we get into that second half of play. We get into that second half of play, and everything falls apart. Everything I liked disappears, right? I feel like we don't see much aggressive information. When they do, they're getting completely shut down. Nats is allowed to lurk really however he wants, and Chronicle playing on that Sky, if I'm recalling correctly, he was just playing out of his mind, just flashing through Viper util, just absolutely going bonkers on them. And I don't know. I'm wondering if it was something mental for Crew a little bit, because it did feel like the momentum started building and they just started to crack. Like they did not look like the Crew I knew after that first half. Like 3 rounds in, they don't win anything. Seems like they fall apart a little bit there.
It's also a Crew that has played this comp maybe like
it's really new for them.
Yeah, well, sort of, because they brought it before without, I think, a KO or something like that, maybe a couple of events back. I remember seeing this against a team like Australs, if I'm not mistaken, in their local tournaments. They brought this back into Champions, which is new for anybody else that was preparing against Crew when they usually see like a Sky and stuff like that being played. So seeing Kesnet being able going to a Cypher instead of playing like a Sky or like that flex player that's going to support Nags, yeah, it was definitely wild, but it definitely worked for them on the defender side. And maybe that's why like you're able to see such a good hold, such good plays from Crew Esports on the defender side. But when it comes down to their attack, is that now less opportunities to lurk right now from Kesnet, or was he not lurking effectively enough?
He would just drag his gigantic gonads onto the fucking side and and just 1v2 as Reina and get out with dismiss. You know what I mean? Like half the time in so many of their previous games, especially with like Nagset off the boil, he would entry. And then he would just fucking survive somehow. So
yeah, and that's the thing of playing, and why, like, even MitchMan, I agree with you that this map is boring to watch, is because when you're looking at the comp, like, it's actually a pretty decent comp too. You're just now, because you're going to put, let's say, the Viper wall up across on the A side, then you have, for example, Benzino as that KO that could play like a Leaf, or sorry, a Zeppa, that's going to flash through. They try to get control with the Jet at the same time, but now you need a little bit more lurking because you have a Cypher in there. So where is he going to lurk? How is he going to fight it? Is he going to go towards A halls? Is he going to go towards mid doors? You need that single lurk to work towards that mid side, and I wonder if that's what was missing here for Crew Esports overall, to work together to try to overpower Gambit Esports, because once you get into the other end, when Chronicle is able to step up like the way he did, and he plays this LAN performance like he did in Berlin, when it's him and Nats being activated the way that they are, they pretty much become an unstoppable force. And you actually do see that from Chronicle. Chronicle is another one that I slept on a lot looking into my top 20. I think I had him as like 13 or 14 just surely looking at stats. But now that I actually paid attention to how Chronicle like is moving around fighting and how aggressive he takes these fights and wins them, it's actually mind-boggling how much of an impact he could actually bring into Gambit too.
What was great as well, both, I just took a look at Breeze. There's only 2 first deaths for Chronicle.
Yeah.
And actually, I remember
Yep.
both of those. They were both Nags just running down Tube. Well, shift walking down Tube. Once was like round 2, and the other was with his ult. Sorry, no, it was round 3. It was super impactful.
So he just
dude.
pushed holes. You mean?
It was the reason that they
Yeah.
won round 3. So Nags with, I think he had like a Spectre, just shift walk down halls. So he's a jet, as he always is. Has the ability to dash out down
Yeah,
in the mid,
sure.
dash back, try to create a bit of space. Like, so it was a bonus round as well, right? So he shift walks down, but Chronicle had gone for the orb inside of A. So he just like goes down the rope, walks up behind him, completely catches Chronicle off guard. And like 2 or 3 rounds later, he did the same fucking thing with his ult. And it was just Chronicle there getting his orb. Chronicle walks back, and then Nags is there like,
Well, it's,
hey, dude,
Halls
what's
is so
up?
funny on that map because it's like, are you going to watch that Halls all fucking round? The one angle, you're going to sit your ass there,
Especially,
Yeah.
or are you
what
going
was
to push
wild
it?
was that it was Gambit, dude. So Gambit are literally known for their default and slow play. They were defaulting both of those rounds. The only hole they had was Halls where Nags shift walked down. And honestly, I think that had a huge impact for this guy because within the first 6 rounds, he had 2 flank plays that got them kills on a low buy round that then got them upgraded rifles and all the information because no one came out to trade Chronicle. So no one was over that side of the map. Oh, look, it's a B hit. Like, it was so clean. And then we saw him start to take the op and go for these duels out through double doors, go for these duels on top mid, which was everything that I was worried about with Nags. Because as I said, up until this point, he had missed 90% of the shots he'd went for. And I genuinely don't believe that's an exaggeration.
Mm.
He was woeful on the op. And now he was going aggressive, getting in their faces and hitting. So it felt really good. Then nothing really happened in the second half, and that did not feel really good.
So,
But, you know,
for me
as
with
an opening
Nags-
map, it was good.
Yeah, it was alright as an opening map. For me with Nags, it felt like he was like the complete reliance of crew, especially when they were playing in on that attacker side, and it just wasn't working. Even when he got those openings, it wasn't followed up because Gambit is just such a good team at finding the trade out and at not leaving the gaps. Besides those few rounds that you were describing there, so I don't know. For crew, especially with a composition like this, normally we look to someone like Kesnet to kind of pick things up and be that secondary entry and to help in creating the space. But on this Cypher role, it didn't feel like he could do that. And with so much pressure to perform on Nags, he did, right? Like he had an alright scoreline individually, but it just didn't feel like it was enough for me. It didn't feel like we had that like secondary force that you're talking about with like Chronicle and Defo. I mean, you have that kind of duo on every team, and with these comp changes for crew, it didn't feel like we had that factor.
Sure, yeah. I think nerfing Kesnet onto that Cypher was a big blow, especially when you look at the value that KO brought in this series. I think like you can see the intention behind it, but sub in and Sky, you can do a lot of the same stuff, like flashing through those walls, looking for those aggressive plays, but then you get a ton of information off the back of it that currently I don't think any team uses KO in a way that justifies him being there. I'm not saying that he cannot be used in a justifiable way, but from what I have seen, I've not been convinced.
Cloud9
I mean,
is
pretty
the
much
only
anybody.
it's the only team on this map that I feel like is actually utilizing
Who's
that
sorry?
KO well.
How often can the
Cloud9, I
KO
liked their KO on
Cloud9,
this map.
okay.
Yeah.
How often can the KO actually turn off those Viper walls? Because you need to hit the Viper with the 0 point.
But it
right?
has
She's not-
it has that 2-second timer before it actually turns off. You have to
Mm-hmm.
hit the Viper
Yeah.
herself, and then it's 1,
Yeah.
2, and then they drop down.
And normally
So-
the Viper's
he's
playing
good with
backside
ults.
or closer to halls if they're even on A at all.
Yeah.
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 His ult is good, but a lot of the time you're gonna have teams playing offsite. Like you're gonna have your Viper put her wall down
And
or
the thing is,
her
the Viper,
orb and play
it's
far
not
enough
the
away.
utility that gets affected; it's the agent themselves. So it doesn't really matter
Yeah.
if you're right near a wall because you're not going to be able to shut it down as long as the.
So if
Viper
you hit the
just drops
Viper
really
with
low.
a 0 point, it won't drop her wall. Is that what you're saying?
No, it will, but there's
Okay.
a 2-second
Takes
delay.
2
on it.
seconds.
Yeah.
The main thing, like the main use of KO right now is just being to harass info. So like
Mhm.
canceling out a drone after it's like when you start the drone, then knifing the player, so the drone just gets deleted. Same thing with the Trailblazer. But for the most part, like his ult is going to be super useful for entering, taking down Cypher trap wires and stuff. But in the same way as when you have a showstopper, teams are often going to just play offside and let
Yeah.
you have that control, and that's where you're going to run into a problem with like an opper or with utility delay, allowing your ult to run down. Like it's really tough, I think, to get the value out of him right now. But moving into the future, when you have like Chamber brought in, when you have Yoru sort of harassing as well, I think he can be used in a decent way. It's just hard when you have so many other valuable agents that you could put in there instead. It's not that he's
I feel like
useless,
a lot of teams,
just that he's not as useful.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of teams also aren't using the flash as much as I like it to be
Yeah,
used, and as well
100%.
it is as it can be used. Like,
Is it too slow?
no, it's a
No.
good flash. It just it's harder to use than a sky flash or something along the lines. The buffs to it are pretty solid. If you have like the nerdy lineups for it and you're good at using it on the fly, it can look pretty damn powerful. And that's why I was saying I like Cloud9 on this, because with Leaf and with Zeppa, they were using that flash to get kind of double aggressive and to fight forward. And we never really saw that from Crew, right? I was talking about how there's this pressure to perform by Nags, and in the first half, right, the support was there, but once we get to the second, it doesn't feel like a lot of that utility is being used to enable him. It's just that like harassive knife, which you can't, it's a lot harder to find value with on that attacker side, especially when teams just have a tendency to play back. So I don't know. I think their KO needs work if they're going to keep playing it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about map 2, because I haven't seen this since fucking maybe NIP on Ascent. It was the duelistless composition from Gambit, right? Not one inside.
Yeah. Not good. Not good. The
Yeah.
immediate flag when we saw this. Like
Yeah.
myself and Tom talked about it. I'm pretty sure the desk talked about it as well. We're just like, why? How are you going to attack with this? How? And the answer was they weren't.
They didn't. They won the pistol and the next round. That's it on the attack side.
It was so bad, man.
Yeah.
You just can't get into a site. You physically cannot get in. It's so difficult. If you look at the timeline of the game, of the 6 rounds in a row that they lost, they got up 1 plant. That was the story that I remember. I just use that to back it up, because in my memory, I just remember them running headfirst into a brick wall again and again and again, because they had nothing
You have to.
help them get out onto
Is
those
there,
sites.
is there a non-dog shit, no duelist comp that you can
No.
play on this kind of map?
On Ascent, probably not.
No.
Agreeing with
mean,
me too, because the way that I see
Yeah.
it just by simply looking at the comp is like, okay, well, it's probably gonna be Devil Flash in, entry in with Nats throw some cages, and then have Sage follow up, so you could try to trade out heal/res. Because Chronicle and Redguard, the only thing they could do is stay behind and gather info with their smokes, or like create that diversion with the smokes, and the other one gather info as a Sova. So you need the other 3 to like kind of perform in a sense when they want to trade in. But when you're just walking into like such a tight entry, like an A main, for example, that shit gets sprayed through smokes. It's so hard to get out of. Your
Yeah.
flashes have to be impeccable. You have to catch your opponents off guard. But if you're just keeping playing off angles behind the generator or behind dices, you're not affected by these, then you could always dance around those and just lock it down on defense.
And the thing is, in a composition like this, I feel like the players that it's going to usually put the pressure on is on your Sage and your Sky. That when we used to see a lot of these
Right.
comps on Haven, that's who it was, right? It was the Sage and the Sky. But Shadows wasn't living up to that. He took 3 opening duels and he only won 1 of them overall this map. And just watching the VOD itself, it didn't feel like he was doing much to create space. There was a couple times where he tried like funky stuff with the wall out towards A to try and create an off angle pass to smoke, but it's just the amount of utility that Crew was bringing on in. You can't really counter out an Aster with a Sage wall. Like Jet Dash gets straight on through, Ray's Satchel gets straight on through, Arena gets a kill and dismisses in. It's all well and good, but they had nothing to compensate that. Gambit was playing in a way they were like, okay, Crew was playing in a way that the only thing we have to be concerned about is that Sky, and they just played back behind cover, wait for the call on the flash, and then just swing off that, and you'll shut down the entry completely. I just don't think this is the map. Personally, I don't think any map is the map to run no duelist. It just makes me think of just the dumb comp that
But what
some
about
teams
Anna's in chat is suggesting like maybe you can do more with a comp that has like Viper and KO in there, right?
Who's going to create the space? Who's running in to push through a gravity well in that comp?
It's just putting that Viper wall up to create the space. So instead of trying to engage, then you play around the wall, put it
Yeah,
down,
I don't
flash
like
through it,
it.
and fight through
I
that.
don't
not
like it. I'm gonna
good.
be honest,
It's
because
a
if
slower
the other
entry,
team has any
but-
flash, they will just counter that. Or if they have a KO, they will just knock down your wall. It's just like, sure, it's possible, but I think that any team the caliber of Crew will not let that happen to them.
So we're capping
For more than
Gambit
a few rounds,
full cap.
anyways.
Yeah, it might
That's the
happen
thing, man.
once as a one-off, but then
Yeah.
they're going to just
Yeah.
adjust. And if
Yeah.
it's and it feels like something like it feels like a gimmick, to be honest, when teams run these comps.
Sure. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah,
And
I
Vizino-
really think it is.
Zeno really eased into defending against this non-duelist team. He was just fucking kicking it, I think, on that B side. And
Feet up.
you
Feet
know,
up.
I've seen this happen from Sobers before on Ascend defense that are in like a comfortable spot, right? Especially if you can light up B main. Mizzino not really put under any pressure over the course of that map. I've seen Crashies do it before. I've seen people like Gangster do it before. When you don't have the tools to sort of force anything out of the Sova on that site, this is what you get.
Buy
Pretty
an
filthy
Odin,
scoreline.
roll your dart. That's a free B site.
All right. Let's talk about the actual good map in this series. What you say, guys?
At least that compensates for the no duelists on the second map for sure.
Yeah,
Really good
I'm
fucking
very glad
series.
I'm very glad they played no duelists so we could get this map.
I mean, again, I
That
think
was good, man.
you guys might relate to this, but I think we see this right at like these incredible semis and finals in these huge tournaments. There's something a little whimsical that tends to sort of permeate the match. Something a little special. You see teams just sort of push past their capacity in ways that we haven't sort of seen them before. I think the tenacity of Crew here really gets put on full display. After the first half was great for Crew, right? They got 8 defending rounds, just like they did on fucking Breeze, right?
And then they won the pistol. So it was
and the bonus
10-4. 10-4 at one point on the deciding map. Crew having just taken Ascent, and they come into bind 10-4 up. Like I was certain Gambit were gone. Like I cannot explain how those players, because dude, the way some of these rounds were going, they were close in the first half. It could have easily been a 6-6 half, but it wasn't. You're facing a 10-4. The adrenaline was high. Like we were feeling it. It was an incredible feel. I cannot imagine what the players were going through. Their hearts must have been beating at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Maybe mine was because I had 7 Red Bulls in the first half. Who knows? Honestly, I was necking back energy drinks like there's no tomorrow. But I'm so happy that it just kept going and it kept delivering. It was like, all of us know this, right? You can have boring, you can have close games that go 13-10, and you'll walk out and be like, that was one of the worst games. Like it's just 2 shit teams or 2 teams making a massive amount of mistakes, and it comes down to who is not as bad, as opposed to this game, which was like the best form, the best amount of counterplay. Like teams were round on round adapting to each other, thinking 3 steps ahead. It was so damn good. Like this match was a pleasure, I think, for everyone to watch it. God, I wish Valorant was like this all the time.
Chronicle did not lose a opening duel to Kesnit over that entire match. The guy's taking contact on A site defense, right? All the time. They're trying to put, because this map devolved into overtime. Both these teams just fast hitting A and throwing in a B variation every now and then. Like even Gambit's just like, bam, fucking just big ball onto that A site. And it was really hard to follow, right? And I can imagine that the change of pace for Gambit was really quite astonishing.
Yeah.
Well, Chronicle's like what? 7-1, first kill, first death? The guy is just a fucking stalwart, defensively.
There's one thing as well that really has to be said. I'm not sure if we have footage of it. If we don't, that's on me. Traveling back yesterday, didn't get to forward a lot of notes on it, but the crowd, the fact that Crew somewhere I assume it was in Chile. I actually didn't check, but I assume it was Chile.
I think it was Argentina. Yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay,
I think it was Buenos
assumed.
Aires, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, which is
Wow, okay.
where Klaus hails from, I believe.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, well, that makes sense then. Yeah, I suppose the restrictions in Chile probably didn't allow it. Otherwise, you'd go for where your players are for sure. But, dude, at one point, they didn't tell us that there was a crowd or anything. And at one point during the game, I remember I was making a point. I was in the middle of speaking, and they just put up this shot of the crowd. And I genuinely, all the words just went from my mind. It was just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That is so cool. That it was, and my God, like Crew won an insane amount of clutches on bind. Like there were 1v1s, 1vx's going off all the time. And when they did, they would cut to the crowd and you would just see them losing their mind, like hundreds and hundreds of people just going
Smoking
crazy.
joints.
It was crazy, man. What were they?
I think there was one dude just puffing away.
Respect, dude. Look at this guy going crazy. But like, look at that, dude. We can have that one day. Can you actually? It seems like a fucking fairy tale.
It would be insane.
And someday we will be there. The players will be there. Like, oh man. And for Crew as well, I feel it, dude, because they knew that was going on. They know there's a lot of people out to watch them and support them. And fucking hell, the LATAM fans go hard as well on that sort of stuff.
There was a lot of pressure on them. It wasn't like a random, hey, let's put a screen in a park and do a meetup or some
Exactly, yeah,
shit
see
like
what
that, right?
happens.
It was basically a it was
Festival, right?
yeah, it was the Argentinian game show, the AGS Flow, that was happening at the same time, but they had like a big stage for performances, and it just put the screen on for that, and everybody that came to support crew was there. I think that probably filled the area the most.
Oh yeah, there were people like you could see everyone had a jersey or like one of the thumbs up things or the foam hands. That's what they're called. So we don't have them in Europe. Really. In our sporting events, we don't do foam hands. But no, they were like there were a lot of people who were clearly there for crew, not just kind of floating around.
That builds the interest of the other ones that are walking through the festival. They're like, what is this? And then now you see
1,000 people.
It's just growing the esports. Yo, fuck, man. I am with you. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it, about what Valorant's gonna look like with a crowd.
Can we talk about quick? I'm gonna completely pivot this. That fucking Redgar was just buying a judge in overtime on defense.
Oh, we talked about that. These guys, ludicrous.
5-star judge, gotta love that shit.
And they knew this. Crew knew this. That's why they started trying to explode out of showers. But Chronicle or Nats was usually there just to at least trade, but quite often like getting like a 2-for-1.
Yeah,
because they're just trying to avoid. They just don't want to chance it dealing with Redgar in it, even though they have fucking raise and like you think they have my util to clear U-haul. They just, I mean, this is only a 1-for-1. This trade here, which is just mind-boggling.
That's insane.
Yeah. That's how good these two teams were, right? Like I don't think there was any teams that really made a mistake going into these OTs. It was just like one of those overtimes where whoever shoots better wins. As bland as that is in terms of like
Redgar had to retake there with a judge as well. Thankfully it wasn't needed because Nats just fucking got 2, but. I mean, wow.
That judge was super impactful though, even in that round, because what they were able to do with it and what they were doing a lot of the time was they had 2 stars or 3 stars down on mid, depending on the round, and they would use it. They would either recall the smoke, in which case a lot of the time you would have someone like Defo pushing up to try and take a fight, or you would actually smoke it, and Redgar would stand inside it with a judge. Like they would just shift walk into the smoke, sit there with a judge, and wait for you to walk by. You couldn't fight mid. And then if they don't get any contact off that, they can push showers, push mid, and grab the control. They are already rotating over, assuming it's a B hit. Like the amount of info they got off that play was huge. And the worst case scenario was that he got no kills or no contact, because then, as you said, he has to retake with a judge, and that's not great. But in some of the rounds, it means 2 things. In the first couple of rounds, you use it, you're getting 2 or 3 kills. You're really going to throw them off, and your teammates are going to be ready to take the fight earlier because you're getting such advanced contact. Second thing is that from that moment forward, every time you smoke that, no one's walking into it, or they're using a flash, or so they have to clear it. You can't go, I'll try creep in the smoke. No, because the motherfucker with a judge just waiting for you. So you have to now use utility, and making your opponent paranoid like that, making them. I was talking with Nothing earlier on. He said like a good lurker is someone that you have to think about even when they're doing nothing, even when they're just sitting on the site. You're still thinking, shit, what if he's behind me? And Redgar had them in that position everywhere they went. Yeah, like you didn't see anybody go, there's probably no one on left side hookah. Like they were like, let's make sure though. Let's just double check in case Redgar's being a little rat in the corner. So like it makes it much more costly, which means they have a lot less for post plant. That means they have a lot less to get into the site in the first place because they're slowing themselves down and giving away sound cues while they clear it. Like it's that's why I think the judge is just too cheap. The fact that someone in OT will be like, fuck it, I'll play with a judge, and they still have money left over for Lara or something. Wild.
Let's talk about Kesnit then, who was probably the MVP for this team by far over the course of the tournament. You know, we had some criticism, I think, for Nagzet, but Kesnit obviously, who we saw him play a lot of Reyna, and also I think the Raze when it was required on many of these maps. But this guy's insane, man.
Yeah, so good.
Number 6 coming out the tournament in ACS.
I mean, he's ridiculous. It feels like no matter what agent they put him on, and that's why I was questioning when we had those earlier maps and they were switching on to these roles that don't allow him to frag and to be himself and to be that kind of hyper aggressive player, because Nags will create the space and this guy will just follow it up every damn time. And back on Bind, it was just working so incredibly well for him. I think his Raze is definitely his best agent. When he was playing that on their splits, when he was playing that on their binds, it just almost always was looking good. The aggression that comes out of it, even when he's not playing with a Sky, and most of the time they will have Mizzino there to support, it's just fantastic at that individual level. And I like that they have a duelist who can just strictly be a rifler, right? I feel like these days so much priority is put on having a star who's like an opera, but Crew, it never felt like they were a team like that. Because even Nags, like we were talking about this earlier, he's hit or miss with the up. It's a rifle heavy team. It's one that will really get in your face and play that kind of classic like Latin American aggressive style when they need to, but they have more flexibility to it. And I think that this player gives them a lot of that because he's a guy you can play into a default and just let loose or trust to be that primary tip of the spear entry man. So I love the adjustability as an individual, and I'm glad to see that his agent pool is slowly expanding out, trying the breach roles, trying the cypher roles, and trying to make something work for Crew. Because I mean, obviously, there's a lot of teams that don't have that at Team Liquid.
He's always going to get props from me just for moving outside his comfort zone. When you move from a duelist to a sentinel, it already tells me the kind of player you are. And if you're still putting up numbers as well, it means you're super valuable. But the fact that you will put down your own preference and something that you know you will do better on for the team, yeah, you're not going anywhere in that lineup. You're valuable off that alone. Plus, he's a sick player.
Obviously, we saw the reaction after Crew lost was pretty rough, right? I mean, they've come so far. I don't think anyone really expected them to get where they did. But again, I think this team, we've seen Crew before at international events, right? They were known as the team that always ejected a Brazilian team at the very least, right?
Yeah.
But up until now, that was all really.
That was it for me too. Going into like previewing these teams into the playoffs, it's like, okay, they're able to get out of groups. They're going into like Iceland, then over to Masters Berlin. Even in Iceland, I had to give a bit of like a little positivity of how Crew play. We're like trying to follow the meta. They were trying to play like the Viper, trying to bring out the way that Team Liquid is playing on Haven, for example, by trying to bring like the Sky, no Sova kind of type of meta. And I was like, okay, it looked pretty good on paper, but then it didn't look too good at all when they were trying to execute it. So I think to see how they evolve from going into Iceland into this event for champions, not only have they evolved their comps, but also their playstyle that fits into something that's very comfortable. So in the end, going into the long process of practicing and working hard and, going through the trials and trepidations of group plays into quarterfinal losses, I'm glad that they're able to go into the top 4 now. And it shows how much potential they have going into even further than top 4 into 2022 with how good players like Kesnet are continuing to move up to not even their prime yet. I think there's still a lot of room left for people like Kesnet to just fucking own.
Yep. Yeah. So many teams outside of the semifinals with, representing regions like South Korea, the Philippines, Thailand, Chile, Argentina, and obviously Brazil, of course, with, some really good showing here. So we're going to see a really interesting 2022 with a really diverse array of different teams. And again, I think this is the most important part, is that these teams take this back to their scenes, right? The competition, fire for competition gets stoked back in LATAM, back in SEA, for example, because they've all seen that, okay, this team that we've scrimmed against and maybe we've taken rounds or maps off of are competing at the top level. That means we can do that too. There's always a really nice follow-on effect there. So congrats, obviously, the teams that made it that far. We obviously still have to talk about the grand final. We will, dissect that a little bit more. And we'll bring on the birthday boy after the break. But for now, thanks for joining us, Mimi. Appreciate your insight on these semifinals. And you two fucks, sit tight, because we're going to be back, of course. We're going to talk about the grand final of Valorant Champions. So stick around, everybody. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Valoranting. We have somehow, within 2 hours, covered most of our Champions finals, but there is, of course, one game left to cover. The most important game, unless you're a North American Valorant fan. We'll cover that in just a sec, but first,
that's why we could actually take me out.
Yeah, you don't want to be here? Yeah, bad luck. All right, let's bring on Mr. RyanCentral once more to join us. Thanks for joining us, Ryan.
Good to be here. I loved seeing the argument from like Reddit and stuff that was like, oh, it would be bad for the game if it's a full EMEA final. And it's like, NA being dog shit in Valorant is bad for the game. That's their problem. Like, don't put that shit on us.
I mean, the most viewers were still the grand final. I mean, was 1.1 million or a little above that.
I think so,
That's because of the
yeah.
gun buddy. That's because of the gun buddy, not because you know, with NA you would have had like 2.1
defensive
million.
arguments already coming out. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair,
If
there
pigs
is a
could fly.
chance that if we had an NA versus EU final, there may have been more viewers. There may. Because
Yeah,
the time
but I
zone
mean,
was
more
very good
viewers for a
NA.
much shorter fucking show. It would have been done
That
in
is true.
3 maps.
Yep.
Would have been
Actually,
we've
like,
done in 40 rounds.
So really, the watch hours probably would have been the same. You know, that's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah, everyone would have had to tune in all at once because they'd be
NA
like,
versus
"Shit,
crew would
don't
be awesome."
miss it,
Actually,
dude."
NA versus crew in a grand finals. Holy shit, that would have been spicy.
Would
But
have
that
been
didn't
an
happen, so
elimination match in
I'm
Red
down.
Bull.
I'm down to speak about the reality.
That's
of
called
it.
a
Let's just
lower bracket round 2.
Get this
buddy.
over with.
It's a- I think
Grand
it's called a
finals.
show match.
Congratulations.
Micro.
Shut the fuck up.
And normally they have like
Uh.
casters and shit playing in the solo match, but we could have had an NA team versus.
You know,
Yeah,
I'll
same
fucking
fucking thing,
I'll pull
essentially.
myself out. Fuck it.
The casters are
Nobody
immortal
wants to
in
get
EU.
outed in a show match. That's the
Fucking-
thing.
We got
Oh,
some
shit.
silver EU players playing in NA. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like I said. I think I said it on the desk. God, I hope I didn't, but I probably did. That NA LCQ is essentially the open quals for EU, and it's like, yeah, you can just port those teams over. It's why NIP are jumping over to Brazil. They'll probably go to North America now.
Yep.
Be a smarter choice.
Jesus.
Armed
All
up.
right. First of all, obviously, pretty sick production value. You're in the Verdi Music Hall there. Obviously, it's a venue that in another world would have, had an audience, but wasn't possible this time. However,
So big,
Looks
Ryan was
like-
lost. He was trying to go out by going up. I don't know what he was doing.
Wait, what are you talking about?
We were on our way out in the last day. You were, I don't know where you were going. You were walking all
I
around
went
the
to go
venue.
see the
He was-
players.
I think
We
you
were
might have been
usually in the
meeting
press
secret
room,
admirers,
and then they came
Mitch.
down
Yeah.
afterwards. That was the
Okay,
peak moment. It's just like the sort of like not after party, but just like a couple of drinks of celebration afterwards. The players come down, like Starkso's talking to people. CNED just sits down, he's on his phone, and people singing the
He's
fucking
chilling.
like CNED's on fire, your defense is
Yeah.
terrified, and he's
Oh
just
my
sat
God.
there, just like
CNED's on fire.
he was
He just didn't
so
care.
chill.
Yeah, it was just like, oh god, people are singing about me. What do I do?
Yeah, listen, drinking with pro gamers doesn't always go the way you think it does. In every scene, there's like always a few that are just, I mean, they're not there for that. They're there to play and they don't know what to
They're
do
there
with
to play,
themselves once the
yeah.
games are over, you know?
Hey, but that's the thing. Cena was just chilling. He was just living his best life, like doing whatever he was doing. I'll tell you what, if he was playing a mobile game, I'm scared for whoever he's against. I played Knockout City with that dude. He is like one of the best players in the world in Knockout City as well. I don't know what it is, but his brain is just hardwired for gaming of any kind. It's nuts.
And all the streaming didn't really cut into his performances, did it? You know what I'm saying? He seemed to be just fine when it mattered. I think we have a video.
Yeah.
Is this the feature from the finals? Is this a SOT, Ian? No. Okay. Oh, this is, yeah. I mean, this was kind of sick though, right? Like, this was thrown together, I think, and shown you before the final, or at least,
Yeah.
just the road of these two teams forward. I mean, it's
Works
pretty
so
insane. Like,
fast.
it's pretty insane to see Ascend and Gambit get here, right? I think people may be thinking that, EMEA would feature pretty heavily at this side of the bracket, especially after the first few rounds. But to get this matchup, I mean, we're pretty fortunate.
I'm assuming nobody in production like slept throughout this whole week to put these videos and
Dude,
and things
it's
together,
actually crazy.
Oh, they were
I
just
was-
taking LSD like we're seeing on screen.
yeah, this is actually exactly what they see after a 3-hour day. 3 hours in, they're gone. These guys, like, we were down having a couple drinks in the bar at one point, a hotel bar, so it was all within our bubble. And dude, one of the guys was sitting across from us that was from the like creative team. He showed us some of the videos, and they make them so quickly, like within a couple hours of the day ending. That's like when the media team starts. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan. Didn't he say like a lot of them were in the States? No, sorry. No, they were in the shipping container. Oh my God. Yeah. They were like locked. They have their own little container outside the venue that like gets shipped there. And it's like in Rick and Morty, the little guys that live inside the shrink ray. They're just like in that shipping container. The second the event ends, bang, bang, bang. They're like slapping
I mean,
together.
they're doing it
content.
before the event ends, right? They're cutting B-roll like from the first match, I'm sure.
They're
of it.
getting all the interviews as well. Like they've got to like talk to the players, get those interviews, get those like snippets of information out of them right after the game, or like as soon as they can, put it all together, create the narrative, write the story. It's so cool. And within a couple hours, they have like these content pieces that I don't know about you guys. I'm pretty sure like they give me
They
tingles
delivered.
every time I
They
watch them.
delivered
Like
for sure. And I like how it's like
Crazy.
a small shipping container on the outside, because once the event's done, then you could actually like close up the shipping container ready to go with the other NA teams that are waiting in there,
send
right?
them wherever they're. Yeah, I think they do worlds. They do like all these like big events. So they're coming hot off of like a bunch of events as well.
They
you
get
know?
freeze dried. You just add water, put them in a shipping container, and all of a sudden, like,
Literally do. Yeah. Oh, heat up the oven. We're gonna defrost this.
it's like when
It's
SpongeBob,
crazy.
you know, comes about, he's out of the ocean for too long, right?
Oh,
they
man.
just
Yeah,
like, you know,
yeah.
leave him in a Ziploc or whatever, and then some water. This whole thing.
Just expands.
It's awesome, man.
All right, so Mitch didn't even know who Gravitz was. You know, obviously the
Well,
concert
listen, I didn't know what he. Come on, man. Don't do that.
to be fair,
me.
the bloke normally wears like eyewear, right? Like this, like I'm not. This is. I listen to plenty of his stuff because I can't get past like the early 2010s of dubstep. I'm stuck there. But this was a sick performance. This is a guy that like I listen to a lot of Monster Cat stuff, and Gravitz appears frequently on a lot of that. But yeah, really, obviously the collab was sick. The performance.
Not only that,
It was
but
great.
how sick was this fucking
Zed
stage,
out.
yo? Like
Wasn't it,
this,
dude? Like they put on a show
without a
so
crowd.
This stage,
Without a crowd.
this stage
This
was
is pre-recorded, right?
outside
Yeah.
the Verdi music hall. Yes, this was pre-recorded, but I think it was pre-recorded on the day. It's
Okay,
just so
okay.
they had like
It's like
control
3
over
or
the
4
lighting and
hours
stuff like that.
beforehand, yeah.
Yeah.
It's live to tape. Yeah.
Look at that.
So like this was a separate. Oh, Ryan, did you take a picture? I didn't take a picture of it. It's a huge
No, but there's
tent.
pictures on Reddit and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Like,
Okay.
You
Yeah.
couldn't effectively really even watch it if you were there because the studio was almost like
Blocked
another
off.
container
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
itself. You could
Yeah,
still
yeah.
kind of see into it, but I don't even know if the audience would hear anything at this point. They just see fucking Rez sat there just going with glasses on, and they're like,
just in his
"Is
headphones. yeah.
everything okay?" You just hit Gravitz from a
And,
distance, going,
like,
just shouting "die for you." I
George
want you.
Gadez is like, oh man, like I don't want to hear this like cringy shit anymore. Rez fucking owns, man. So I actually went out like 2020, just before like COVID started hitting, and there was like this winter festival called Igloo Fest in Montreal, where we actually go out at like minus 25, minus 30 degrees Celsius to party
Oh,
out
God.
in the outdoors. And Rez was like one of the performers, and her music, similar to this one, is fucking sick, man. And she pulls in a lot of fucking fans to actually watch her sets. And the whole goggles thing. Also, I think she's also another Ukrainian, so I got that nationally right. But she's also a DJ from Toronto.
From Finland, huh?
Yeah.
We're all the
But
same.
she's
You
a-
guys
Why are
know that.
people?
She DJs out of Toronto, and I think she was discovered by even Deadmau5. So she has her signature goggles that she always wears when she DJs, which is those ones right there. And like the
Right.
visual, her visual sets when she's doing these sets are just fucking amazing. Like, look at that. That's some of the things that you see in her actual shows, not just because it's like a Riot production too.
The main like bass beat from this song, I'm pretty sure the Rez hit the brown note about 40 times. I've watched the performance back twice.
Okay,
And I
listen, just
needed
because you
to
were
pause it
shitting
to
yourself
take
having
a
to be on the
shit
desk
both
on finals
times
day
because
doesn't
it was
mean
so,
that this
like,
is.
It's just so me when it comes to
I love
that.
it. I love that shit. I
Also,
love
just all of the
heavy
memes
bass
that
shit.
came out with Paris performing as well when she gets like hoisted up. All of
Jet dash,
Shout
jet
was apparently
dash,
going, yeah,
updraft.
like jet. So.
I think it was cool, man. I think the stage setup and production and everything like that is fucking amazing. I don't
think
know
it
how
works
much
so
this
much
would
better
have
when
cost.
it's not there. I quite liked that it was almost separate because if you try and do this like on the stage, it just
That's what I'm
No,
saying. Like
yeah,
DJ
yeah.
Khaled Overwatch League. Like you try to
No,
sing this
no,
way, like
no.
this wouldn't work.
No,
Right?
stop.
I mean, this is,
I joked with
oh,
production. I
God.
said like the ceremony was
He's
really
so
good. I
bad.
don't think it's quite DJ Khaled of Overwatch League. I'm not getting invited back to a global event at this point. I don't think after saying that, but like,
No,
this was the right way to go about it
Yes.
because it was
Definitely.
like
the
the opposite of what George
the
said. It was
only,
just
like,
a solid thing.
as much as I love Zed, the only slightly cringy part was like when Zed comes out from the fucking floor strumming like one key on his bass guitar. During the Die For You section of Grabbits. I don't know if you guys remember or see that part. He just comes out from the floor, which is cool, but he's just holding a guitar and just strumming like one note. I was like,
looking around.
and it's like it's a Die For You remix. So I was like, I was
listen,
trying to
here's
listen.
the problem though. As a bass player, I can tell you that some of the most popular songs are like 2 fucking notes, and you have to pretend like you're enjoying yourself as a bass player.
I know,
In
I know.
reality, you're like fucking end me.
But I would have like
Absolutely end me.
just put him like in
You know how like DJs usually just transition from like DJ to DJ if you're like doing a back-to-back set. So like if you have Rez step out and then you have Zed step in and then it transitions into the dive for you, then Zed's just start like doing his, you know, just hands in the air kind of thing instead of
He's
shoving
just
it
choreographing the whole show. You want to like take a step back and actually show us like how would he come in?
Like just go to
I don't know what you're talking about. Show me exactly how this would happen.
Just go to any festival, you'll just know MitchMan. Just go to any festival.
That is fair though. Like Zed's sound is not as gritty, I guess.
Sorry?
Is this? I'm not sure if Zed's sound is quite as gritty as this, right? I mean, his style seems a bit. I mean,
I like his shit. I like clarity. I like.
But Zed is also a people. He is a.
He's a people.
That likes to do other.
He is person.
Zed is a people. Like for Overwatch League, the last song that he played in his set there, he was playing the drums on.
Yeah.
It's just something that he does. It's a little bit weird, and it kind of like kills some of the pacing of it. But like, okay, he can do whatever he wants.
They should have just gotten DJ Khaled to play Fortnite. To be honest, have you seen that?
No,
the 2 hour him and Megan Fox playing Zeus is there from CS. It's
oh my god,
it's Evil Geniuses. I think put on the strangest show I've ever seen.
No,
it was.
So for me, Zed is kind of like
2 hours.
the type of like summer festival type of DJ, you know, like the Alesso type and the Rest in Peace Avicii style, where it's like, you know, crowd and like upbeat, kind of feel, more like summertime feels, which is why maybe I could see him like. I guess it got him involved.
Clarity was a chart topper,
exactly,
on like mainstream radio. Yeah.
Exactly, like a lot of mainstream pop that plays on radio, and like everybody goes for like the festival in the summertime. And I'm assuming that they brought in Zed at this point because, you know, he helped put the skin together for the Zed collection, and we also use it for the production. But I don't think we necessarily use any of his songs because he was just strumming a guitar over Die For You by Grubbits, right? So
we did a remix of it, so it's like...
Was it him that did the remix, though?
You'll learn his check through that to an extent. Yeah, I mean, there's a physical version of it.
Don't you worry.
I see.
Were they flying the boy out to fucking... Yeah, out to
I see. Okay.
Don't worry about it.
So maybe that's why. Okay.
There was a good fucking joke in the green room for this as well, with like the 404 errors going off. We were joking that like the text tech pause would come in at the bottom and it just goes stop for half an hour.
Did you guys get to like meet any of the performance?
I think the desk.
Yeah, MitchMan kind of did.
Yeah, I guess I embarrassed myself in front of Rabbits.
What did you do?
I didn't fucking know who he was, so I was.
When did you meet him?
About it. He was in the green room, Ryan. He was. I don't know if you were there. No, you would have been when this was starting. Right when this was starting, Grabbits was stood behind us. He was stood about a meter away from me while I asked if he was currently actively performing. And then Ben just went, "Well, this is Grabbits, so no." And I was like, "Oh, fuck."
No, I was too busy shouting at the TV screen. To be fair.
Love your shit. Like,
that makes it so much better that he was there.
He was stood a meter away from me. I could have touched him if I reached out. I was just like, oh, this is awkward.
Zed is usually, because normally, like, I mean, in Philly, Zed had to get makeup done as well. So he came down through the to the green room and we hung out for a little bit. Really very easygoing guy. He's actually mates with a bunch of the Korean Overwatch League players. He invites them out to his place in Vegas all the time.
Nice.
So he's pretty down to earth guy, actually. He's like, he's pretty young. He's, you know,
20s.
Yeah, he's going
like
really.
He did a desk with Yinsu, didn't he? Or she tweeted that at least. Like, he was
Yinsu
on it for
and
a
Sean,
minute, right? Yeah.
Sean, that's why I tweeted it too. I didn't know if Sean was more giddy about the grand finals happening or just that he's sitting on the desk with Zed, because he was like nervous, his hands were moving. I've never seen like Sean being so nervous on camera before. It's like, holy fuck, man, I'm sitting right next to fucking Zed, motherfuckers. Which awesome. I'm definitely jealous about, but it was definitely cool to see the involvement or how involved Zed is with Valorant. He loves the game, which is super cool. Mm-hmm. Can't wait to see Jordan Fisher start doing this again as well for Valorant too.
Credit to the appropriate team. I think it's Ali Miller that was heading this up over at Riot, but like it takes a whole village to create and facilitate for these kind of crossovers.
Agreed.
It's not just like Riot calls Zed like, you want to do this? He's like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot involved there. So
what I've also heard as well about that is just that Zed was being super like hands-on with the skins as well. Like it wasn't something that he just slapped his name on and went, yeah, that'll do. Like he was super invested in every aspect
That's
of it.
That's what was cool,
and he pushed a lot of the aspects of it that we kind of know about the skin now, for example. I don't know quite any examples, but it was one of those cases where he came in and it wasn't just like a paycheck to him. it was something that he was invested in
Yeah.
and wanted to do a good job of. So I think he probably found the whole process of it really fascinating.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Mhm.
I think it's something that he's really into.
Mhm.
All right, let's talk about video games, you fucks. Ascend versus Gambit. We get the EMEA clash that many were hoping for or dreading, depending on where you're from. I mean, first of all, let's talk about this. The walk-in was sick. I kind of love how, I guess, the AR sort of all occurred and how the trophy is eventually illuminated. This is very, very well done. I mean, being in the room must have been pretty insane.
That stand is also the same shape as the Valorant logo below it,
I was about to
and
say,
it like curves up into the trophy hold.
yeah, because the
I
legs
don't
go
remember
into
who
the
pointed that
corners
out
of
to
the
me.
logo, right?
And
So
look
Yeah,
at this.
yeah, exactly.
Like the logos dissolve out and it like fills up the
Yeah.
motif at the bottom and then it illuminates the trophy. Fuck hell, man. So sick.
Even just the shot, like my favorite moment is just the camera moving forward as you get the bone cold. This as well, like just like hearing like Mitch's casting alongside what we'd heard a bit from Dan and Pansy and just how good it all felt. But the shot where you see Bone Cold and Redgar fist bumping as they're walking past
yeah,
is just
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's funny how the tournament, like once you got rid of all of the shit talking and all of the drama from like NA and Brazil, just how those top 4 teams
But it
were real examples of sport, like the fist bumping, like Redgar crying, like the hugging it out, like that's what it should be. Fuck all of this stuff, like what Zoms is tweeting or like the come to Brazil shit. Like get that shit out of here.
But
You
that's
don't
the-
need trash talk to make this stuff interesting.
But that the thing is because that's just impressions online. Everybody just knows that for the vast majority of the players here on LAN is that most, if not all, have a great relationship with each other here at this event in Valorant, at least, right?
Yeah.
Unless you guys know some shit behind the scenes that I don't, but I know
99% of these guys are fine with each other.
That's
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it's just like impressions that was like drama for the drama online, but then it's just like, again, we're going back to that topic, but it's the super fans that are like kind of taking shit out of proportion, and then it just becomes like this whole hiatus. Of
Okay.
bullshit.
Listen, I mean, in fairness, do I think that you need that, like that trash talk, that this like pseudo nationalism to make this interesting? No,
No,
not
you
at all,
don't.
really.
You don't.
Some
You
people
don't,
love
but-
this shit though. Like, look at anybody. Like, I mean, for example, I don't care about roster leaks, right? I will find out when I
Sure.
find out.
Yeah.
But the amount of people that literally milk the dick of these journalists who are leaking these news and in turn giving them a fucking superiority complex or a savior complex, whatever it wanted to be. Some people like live for that shit. It's like their favorite part about any competition is the fucking juice and the leaks and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I personally, I don't think we needed it at all. We have it. But what we really got here, what I thought was a very wholesome celebration of the game and one particular region's dominance. And we got to see the climax of that between two teams that, you know, knew each other really well, had a lot of respect for one another. And then that really played out, I think, in the game, right? As we, you know, we talk about map one and let's, fuck it. I'm clicking on the button. Let's talk about Breeze here. This one comes up first. So obviously, Gambit banned Bind, Ascend banned Haven. So that's obviously, and Split is left in the pool here, and Ascend get off to, like, what the fuck is this? Is this the 9-3 curse again?
Oh, I don't know that it was the 9-3 curse that did it for them. We talk a lot about, we talk a big game about Gambit's defense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much that, I think. I also think just because of that, the fact that this could be an 11-1 scoreline to Ascend and Gambit could still bring it back, I think that's why Gambit like to play this map. I don't think it's it's not like the Killjoy on its own is the big difference maker. It's just it allows Gambit to sort of do their thing, to almost treat it as two different sides. Like Defo, I think for the Crew series was 2-13. Well, I don't even know, it's not possible to play Sage. 2-12 at halftime. And then by the end, he was almost top fragging. He's on that defense. I think it's just how these guys structure and play the defense, and seeing stuff like the actual Killjoy on defense working out, because the only time we saw it was against Team Secret, where they won 12 rounds on the attacking side and then one on the pistol. So we didn't really see why Chronicle was playing Killjoy, but the setups were really nice because it just allows them to have a bit more of a passive hold. Because sure, you can use Cypher utility on halls, for example, but now at this point, teams just shocked at it. So you either have to play to keep an eye on it, watch it, or put the tripwire in a more passive position, right? So it was just a good way to sort of see what Gambit were wanting to do with this, but they could have been playing any different agents at this point. It's just what they do on a consistent basis. I just think the fact it was a full best of 5, they just got more and more tired, and the map pool got more and more difficult for them as the series went on.
Well, I actually wanted to ask you guys, like, overall in the series too, like, for me personally, I feel that Gambit are able to have such great comebacks and great maps on maps that are potentially not played as much, where we don't have that much footage on teams on yet, right? So playing a map like Breeze, and later on we're going to talk about Fracture, where Nats is able to do whatever he needs to do in a lurk like Fracture, because it's not.
He's doing it here as well.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I'm saying.
He's like almost 30 kills on this map, and he's had a pretty horrid tournament, I think. I think he's been really like disappointing.
Yeah.
But I also think it's ignorant to assume that he has to play the same way for Masters Berlin for Gambit to be successful, because if anything, we saw all of the other players come in, and Chronicle had the tournament of his life. Redgar looks a lot more comfortable IGL in the fragging out. Like the clutch in the last round is pretty magnificent.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially against crew, right? So it's this is a world class team. It's not just Nats, but it's the Gambit way of divide and conquer. Like Defo can go find a kill in mid on his own. He can get out. Nats' whole utility with Cypher and Viper is making sure that a 4-player execute goes in and gets staggered one by one, and he just cleans them up.
Yeah.
It's the other maps in the pool that Nats was pretty non-existent on for the most part.
Yeah, for sure. But I just think, and not only on Nats, I think it's just like the playstyle of Gambit overall on the whole series. So like, for example, Breeze is like this one-dimensional map that we were talking about before, where it's like, okay, well, it's Viper Wall, this, that, work on extremities, not too much mid control, maybe a Halls lurk. And maybe because of that, that's like the main footage that we kind of know on this map, so that maybe Gambit could actually do something that maybe people are not aware of or not ready for, that they can take advantage of, which is, for example, like Fracture 2. But when it comes down to like Ascend, Icebox, and Split, where we always were giving it like a lot of credit to how good Gambit were on Icebox, now they're actually a team that's potentially beatable on this map too, because they're able to control and lock down Nats, for example, on Icebox. So is it one of those series where, you know, Gambit is looking good on Breeze and Fracture, but eventually once we get more and more tape, or how we see how these maps are developing, that Gambit might have a lot harder matches to play in the longer run on these maps?
I think I'd agree with the latter, right? It's the fact that as time goes on, they're going to be figured out more so. Teams are going to be uncomfortable in Fracture as it is, especially when you look at a team like Gambit, who are going to have those extra ideas. But even just in the normal matchups, I don't think we saw many teams that felt like they genuinely knew how to play Fracture, that they were comfortable making adaptations and comfortable reading how you would adapt and to what they were doing. That's a tough thing on a map with such a small sample size, and that has so many areas of approach. So I can get that somewhere like Fracture now looks incredible for someone that thrives on chaos, because there's a lot more chaos there to take advantage of. But as teams get more structured and as comps get more figured out for it, I think Gambit will have a tougher time. But I also think that they'll benefit from any sort of advancements we make, because then they'll add those to their toolkit, right? They have a pretty wide toolkit. That's the problem with them.
I think there was a lot of teams that are just disappointed with the lack of innovation on their part. And it's not like, oh, they need to play KO. I think it's just about lining stuff up for comfort, really, because I don't think Shados' Sky was anywhere near the performance of Berlin, which makes sense. It was nerfed. A lot of people's Sky was overall a lot poorer. But you also have situations where you look at a team like Ascend, where their IGL controller player is refusing to play the meta agent that is Astra right now. And like, it's lucky because Stazo's Astra is pretty amazing. Bone Cold Silver got better as the tournament went on, and Zeke has now just been able to play and do his thing on multiple agents. And I think it says a lot for me that Ascend, and I think the worst player for Ascend in this tournament was actually CNED. It's not that he played poorly, it was that he was a lot more passive than what we're used to, certainly from the start of the year, but also passive in regards to other Jet players that we've seen in this tournament. I think out of the group of Jets, the thing that we were really like pushing forward at Group A. I think CNED was the worst when it comes to flashiness, but his game sense and how he was playing a map improved as the series went on as well. Like he didn't have to be sort of out countering Defo, but the approach was always smart. I don't know if necessarily it's counter stratting from Ascend, because I remember being on the desk for when they beat Envy and they fucking trounced Envy. And that's not an easy thing to do at all. Like, despite them going out in groups, Envy are not a bad team. It was just, I think they struggled to put Ye into a system. I think for Berlin, it was a lot more like, do your thing, we'll play around you, honeymoon period. I could be completely wrong on this, but I felt that Ye looked like he had to make a play. Whereas CNED was always like, I'm going to take a peek. I missed a shot. I'm going to change. I'm not going to repeat this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and make up for a mistake. And I think that's what made Ascend look so good is they were the safest team in the tournament when it comes to like first deaths and stuff.
100% with you. I genuinely, my impression of Ascend coming out of this event is that they've played a lot more to have CNED as a team player as opposed to someone who is going out and successfully a lot of the time finding those individual duels, finding that individual space. Now he's playing more around his teammates, playing more to entry into a site, playing more to use his smoke so his teammates can come with him, as opposed to creating his own opportunities. And what that's done for them, it was interesting. I looked at the stats. Not a single player from Ascend's in the top 10. I think CNET is the top rightest, and he's like number 13 or something like that of the tournament in ACS, which is ludicrous. If you look at CNET on a national level, on a regional level, he is always towards the top of that scoreboard. But right here, dude, in this tournament, he was not playing as well as he normally does, in inverted commas. But I think he was playing better in terms of like playing the game as opposed to just playing shooty get kills. You know what I mean?
I didn't look at the rankings of the ACS though, but is it due to like other players ranking above him were players that popped off but had less of a map pool? For example, Leaf, in these top 10s for ACS.
Let me I'll tell you exactly who the players are right now. I've got it up now. So it's
There's a thing
Durka.
I just sorry, go on.
I'll go. All right. So we
I
got
was just gonna say
Durka,
with that
Heat, Leaf,
gameplay, I saw Keyless get a 2K, and they were the only
Chesnut.
2 kills that he got that map.
Yay.
That was
Dubstep,
it.
Buzz, out of fan.
Okay, so
Oh,
Buzz,
okay.
Patty Pan, yeah.
Fan.
So players that did pretty good during like the group stages or whatnot too.
Yeah,
They
you
didn't
got
go that far, but,
Kesnit's
like,
in there,
smaller map
Sassy's in
pool,
there.
yeah.
Like you got a few lower sample size like Heat, but then even if you go 100 plus maps, I still think he's just outside the top 10, which is it's crazy for someone like CNET, someone who was in the conversation for best player in the world. You look at CS, Simple doesn't end up outside top 3. Zywu doesn't end up outside top 3. You know what I mean? Like these guys are competing for the best all the time, every event. CNET now, I think it's tangible. The play style shift. I don't think he fell off. I don't think he's a worse player.
I don't think so
I
either.
think it's a conscious choice.
They just didn't need him to
And-
do that. That
Exactly.
Ye style.
They needed him to do other stuff, and that's what got it done. Like it's definitely
Exactly.
because we came in, I think at the end of Icebox expecting Gambit to win, and then it went to overtime, and then it was split. I stayed in the venue, like I was sat in literally Rez's seat that was reserved for her. Obviously, she's not there anymore because I don't think that they really knew what was going on, which is fair enough. So it was not only being able to like watch down, hear the comms, and like watch off the screen and have Pansy and Hypoc like 20 feet that way casting. We could also see, like Mitch was sat next to me, you could see CNED's perspective from down there. And it was so clever with him just playing in mid on split and then just rotating all the way down to B mail each time. And he just adjust and do all of these things. And there's another thing I want to say about Nazi's utility when we get there. But I just think it was one of those cases where they're using the op as a ward to find information. They don't even really rely on CNED being a crazy entry as well, because Zeke can sort of take a lot of that load as well. I just think it's a case of, as they went on, the fact as well, bear in mind, for this best of 5, Ascend's best map of Bind, which they're probably the best team in the world on, wasn't available, and they still win out on a majority of maps. It's kind of unlucky that both teams had the same bans with Haven. But still, it was a huge disadvantage to Ascend overall in the best of 5 series, and they still come out on top. It shows that this is something has been fundamentally drilled into them. So, shout out to the mental coach that they've had. That's no doubt made a big difference to some of those aspects. NBS as well, and Milan as well, just being an analyst coming in pretty short notice and giving that support there because Ascend were all on the same level and nobody was trying to be the shining star. They gave tournament MVP to Zeke, but they specifically said for the final, it's you, Starzo. You were the one that like was the most valuable player for us. And it's the fact that you don't get people being funny about that. You don't get this, oh, I'm the best player on the team kind of thing. It definitely felt, especially with like rumors that the team were likely to split up if the tournament didn't go well, just because they're all individually great that they could get offers anywhere at this point. Yeah, it says a lot that that kind of team unison, and they all re-signed the day after they won the tournament. That it is a team in how they play, and having a player like CNED sort of be on board with that is a huge help for them.
All right, Icebox. Yeah, was quite. I mean, we don't really talk about Fracture because it was just so one-sided. Icebox definitely a different story. 7-5 halftime with Ascend in the lead. Talk about down to the wire, friends.
Hello?
I wanted to see how long it would go.
Yeah, me
I
too.
wanted to see
I did the
how
same
long.
thing. I was like, I'm done talking. But
I knew someone was going to break eventually. Just
Yeah.
waiting to see who it was going to be.
Unreal.
I
it's
don't-
like
I
even
don't-
utility there, like the whole snake bite shock dart combo. You've got the shock dart coming down and missing, and then the snake bite landed 5 seconds later. This was just Gambit absolutely gassed out. Which, considering all of their series have been long best of threes, and then this being a best of 5, I don't blame them. I don't think that they were the best team in this tournament coming into this final. It was really touch and go against Crew, but this was just a point where it kind of got too far and Ascend's masterclass and approach. The other thing I wanted to say about the VALORANT series is from casting it, it was a shit situation to be in from the replay, especially with how close it got with the Ascend advantage.
Yeah.
But something just snapped, I swear, in Ascend. It's like we're here playing on stage, we're kind of choking up against the team with their, not their fans, but Brazilian fans sending us death threats. We lost the series, have been brought back into play it. We had an advantage. That advantage is now gone. We might lose again. It'd be super embarrassing. It's kind of like they just went, what is even the point in caring anymore? What are we nervous about? Like, this is as bad as it gets. And then they snapped. They won the series. The last 2 rounds in that replay map was amazing. And they just trounced everybody from then on out. Like Envy, Team Secret, who I do think is better than people give them credit for. And then obviously Liquid, and really gave Gambit a good go.
Yeah,
Like, it's
definitely.
just, I honestly think the playing that replay map kind of helped them, obviously, from going through the upper bracket, but it was just the perfect position to just get absolutely creamed when it comes to the pressure and everybody almost
That's a
cheering
quote.
against you. So, like, that's why I think Ascend just turned it Super
They
Saiyan.
were definitely playing like they didn't have any of that pressure for sure. Because I think even when you're looking at the like Yinsu was mentioning it on that third map on Fracture, when they were getting dominated by how Nats was lurking around, and then you had a timeout, and then it was like 2 players, one from each side, from Defo to I think Kiles, or I can't really remember, maybe Starkso. They were playing like a rock paper scissors from across the map during the timeout. So like for that mentality for Ascend to say, look, we went through a very close series against VALORANT in the group stages. We're now at the grand final stage. We're about to get creamed by Gambit on Fracture, and we're like, oh, fuck it. We'll just go on to the next map. GG go next. And that mentality shows how it's so dangerous to play against too, because they were looking to play like they were really comfortable. Not loose necessarily, but just comfortable and trusting on every single play that every one of their teammates were doing within Ascend. Like, I think that when we talked about CNED not having to do that superstar move that he needs to do, I saw definitely a lot more aggression coming out from Zeke being that person that tries to make the big plays for Ascend. That's been working out quite well.
Yeah, you can't play scared. I think that was what him literally. I asked him about it, like him literally throwing himself at VALORANT in some of the rounds of just, it sets precedent, because if you have these teams like Crew and VALORANT and you let them do what they want, they will tilt the ever living shit out of you, because they will run at you and just duel you, right? So like, I think it was a good way to retain that control overall. And I just think Gambit had to stop and start and be fast and be slow, that they kind of get absolutely mowed over. It's just another thing of just like seeing its movement, how he's playing. Like, this is Keyless has been amazing this tournament.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed watching him. The fact that he could just do this pretty single-handedly is something that we never really saw Nats being able to do all that much, especially on the side. But I did really enjoy Nats' Viper on this map. You have to respect the utility no matter what.
It seems like Gambit are kind of gassed out by this point, right? As we head over to Split. I mean, they have. It's been such a long series, and they are really just getting stretched thin by this point.
Yeah, I feel like coming into this map, it had been what 5 to 6 hours before we got here, like with all tech issues and pauses and breaks in between halves and maps and so on. Like it's a long day. And when you think about the pressure that's on your shoulders for that long, I mean, it has to take not only a mental toll, it takes a physical toll, man. And to have the energy to keep going, to keep thinking so critically all the time, assess what are your opponents doing, what are you doing, be on edge for anyone peeking a corner at any time. That is crazy. And these guys, you can see the relief at the end. I don't think I've ever seen CNED move before. And here he is jumping around. This event brought something out of this guy.
I can't believe that they have the yeah. I mean, they're still kind of contained during that winning moment, considering the absolute nonsense that they went through and the karmic justice of that whole VALORANT story through many 3-map series that go extremely close to come out there on the other side is pretty insane. I think the trophy moment was pretty dope as well. I think nice on the production side as well. And you know what, like even towards Gambit, I mean, like there was such camaraderie after the match, such a stark difference to remember how they reacted with EMEA after the replay, right? And just the really sarcastic, I don't know, really, it was very edgy, it's very weird sort of enter that game. But I mean, these teams are, so much different. There was no sort of fake cheers across the arena,
It was a weird one because, like, especially recasting that, I was just, it's just a normal game, like it's going to be 7-0. VALORANT are going to win a pistol. Cracker Brazil 7-1 joke, you golden. But when I saw that and I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then I just sort of like, why are we here? Why did VALORANT not immediately just forfeit this round, this map? Just give it up. That's the only way that you get good PR from that. And it just left a really nasty taste, like in my mouth personally. But like I said, I think genuinely it sort of helped Ascend. And I think that certainly for Starso, that fuck you attitude, I think is what carried him all the way to the finals, because he just seemed to have a point to prove. And really, they were the villains to an extent. They were the ones that people didn't write off as being challengers. It was funny hearing like a lot of people kind of speak to the players and go, I never doubted you, not for a second. I knew you could do this. And it's like, did you fuck? Did you honestly? It was just because it was so much like Team Liquid. It was so much like Fnatic looking really good. How far can they go? But
I don't remember
me,
hearing
it was that
people
2-0 win over Envy. It was just, it's nice to see that come together, certainly after a long year for them.
As I was saying earlier, they weren't in my top 5. They weren't in my after opening game. They certainly weren't a team that would make finals in my eyes. Like, I think the vast majority, I think it's disingenuous to the actual narrative that they have spun, which is that they were not a team that should have won this. On paper, they're not a team that the community had as favorites at all to make it all this way. Even after the way that groups went, I think coming into playoffs, they still wouldn't have been expected to put up nearly the level of performance they did, and certainly not to lift that trophy. So this is a story of the reason that you see these players. It means so much to them that they're probably about as surprised to be here as you are. As we even discussed earlier, these guys were potentially disbanding if they lost this event, if they didn't do well here. And now they're the damn champions. Like, this is not a team that anyone expected to win, and that makes it all the more beautiful.
Yeah, and it's no like CS players that have moved over. This is just like you've got CNED, sure. You had Zeke this time last year with no Penky, but obviously you went to G2. But like Bone Cold Keyless they were players that never played in Ignition events. And Stazo called them were never good enough to make Ignition events, to be honest. So the fact that like that team was formed and effectively it was like no Penky 2.0 that's done it is another real good sign for the future of this game. It isn't just like veterans from CS coming across and then winning. It was just two groups of young kids.
Devious licks.
He's a lick until he tastes the polish on it and goes, oh shit. Oh no. That tastes horrible. And now he's looking around going, when can I get water? Can I get water? Oh, I gotta wait.
Give me some Red Bull. Let me watch this taste.
He's like signaling the stage hand, like
it's not quite the handrail in a public transport vehicle, but I mean, it's
close.
I'm just saying,
Close.
you know,
What?
it's a risk.
Yeah.
The risk.
Yeah, but
is he trying to be like the guy? Was he going to grab his coach and kiss him? Was he trying to be like the guy that's like, but you know, the meme is that the guy doesn't win and he like bites the metal, and he, like,
yeah.
and sprays the
And
champagne. I'm not in slow mo. That's unnecessary. I'm licking. I'm biting.
God.
Where am I at with this?
What would I do with this again? I've never been a champion before. Which fucking props to them, by the way, for being the fucking champions. Not only that, like I think, as you guys are saying too, it's like the long route where they battle from the end of 2020 or 2019 until now, right? Or what year are we now? I don't even fucking know anymore. But from first strike,
2020, bro.
from first strike till now, you know, 2020, end of 2020 until now, it's been a long struggle and a long battle for these guys. But I think not only on them becoming the champions and getting what they got in terms of prize pool, whatever, but it's also all of the skins that are now shared with the orgs too, that will also support ACEND going into 2022 to support potentially this champions team. I think this is a really nice upgrade and a great way to tie to loop for 2021 for this team, moving forward to what support they could potentially get and how better they could be in 2022.
You looking forward to the segment we're gonna have to do in a couple months, Uber? It's gonna be the money went to the orgs and not the players. I mean, I agree that the vast majority of that money should go to the orgs. But from what I've heard, some orgs don't think any of it should go to the players, which is utter horseshit.
And they've been
So
pretty
that'll be
public
fun.
about that as well. So
Yeah.
big away.
Yeah.
So what's
Be
on the
fun.
contract or not? I mean, is that going to be for a show in a couple of months?
Well, that's
I
the
think
problem.
this is an exceptional circumstance though, because most orgs will have, and I say this from secondhand experience at least, some orgs will have had the idea that, hey, we don't need to put clauses in for that sort of stuff because it's not in the game yet and we don't know how it will work, so we can't really put anything in writing until it's, but once it's a thing, once they do it, we'll talk about it then. And then it comes time to talk about it, and they're like, well, we're kind of, we think we should have
even
it.
those, like, say, because I know like Jerome mentioned it about Prodigy, that they just have it in their clauses naturally, because especially like a lot of those guys cross over from CS as well, so stickers and all that jazz. I still feel that there's going to be weaselings out from organizations just from just having the lawyers to counteract the certain clauses and go, well, technically it's not an asset because it's not related to the team. So
thank
and it says
fuck Nip weren't
participants,
there.
That could just mean the there's going to be a lot of that. And I think
thank
it's
fuck
going to
Nip
tell you
didn't make
a
it.
big
'Cause
story.
If any org in EMEA is going to do it, it's fucking NIP. And I think that's the one thing that I'll say is that learn from their mistakes in the past, other orgs. Like, you'll probably be fine for a little while, but eventually, like, that people are going to get pissed about it because it's just a sign of good faith. What is a couple, like, tens of grands to an org that's just made that amount of money that will make how much moving forward in the future, especially if things franchise and whatever? Just pay your fucking players, man. Don't be dicks about it. They've earned that money. They've earned some of it at least. And I think we can all agree the orgs deserve a lot of the money because they need to run themselves in the future. They need to make sure they can pay players, have facilities, and invest into all that sort of stuff. And the people running it deserve to have money because they've taken the risk in the first place. Yes, they deserve the majority of the money. However, they don't deserve 100% of it. You didn't earn it yourselves. So please, pay your fucking players. Don't be dicks. That's my motto.
We'll get to have fun with it if it comes out. I mean,
will.
Riot probably should have, you know, this is the problem, is that Riot might need to stipulate where the money goes. Otherwise, then like they're also contributing to allowing this to happen. We got an interview from ACEND. So let's hear what they had to say, and their sort of coach following their victory. Obviously, the biggest Valorant stage to date.
And yeah, during the year, like, honestly, big thank you to our organization, and especially the MVP of all year is our mental coach. Like
Thomas!
I honestly think a lot of
Miyagi.
people are still underestimating the power of that. Good mental coach is what you guys need. It's insane, and I think everyone in the team will agree.
There you have it, Mr. Miyagi. Okay, well, I mean, that's listen. That is that is a glowing report for sort of mental coaches. I don't know if that includes mental coaches that have taken over head coach roles on teams, so I'm not sure if that is quite the same. So
integrated themselves into the main motherboards, that kind of coach.
Yeah, like a Trojan horse sort of virus kind of. I don't know if that is the same, but Obviously good to hear. And obviously afterwards, the players all had plenty to share on Twitter as well. This is when obviously Z quit Fortnite. I'm sure a lot of people, because he was obviously really sick of Fortnite. And this was before he had access to the closed beta. So, I mean, you've got to be impressed. Like he was quite intentional about quitting Fortnite and how he turned it around. So that's that speaks very favorably of what Valorant's able to provide their players, if not, you know, necessarily always their casters, but their players are very well taken care of. So Starzo as well, obviously just wants to recap everything here with a twit longer. You can obviously find that at Starzo5 on Twitter if you want to read it all. Kilo's taking a risk there with his profile picture, but I respect the hustle. Probably an NFT if I'm not mistaken, but hey, I guess he doesn't have Overwatch fans to deal with, so he's probably fine. No one probably cares on his Twitter.
Yeah, Valorant TMZ is just not an active subreddit. Believe me, I check every day just in case, you know. So.
Sounds fucking nice. Sounds nice. I'm not gonna lie. Jesus fucking Christ. And some obviously, I think they took photos of everybody with the trophy, right? Which I think we showed a little bit earlier on.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool. I think Killers is still trying to see if it's chocolate, you know, like if it's just gold covered chocolate or whatever.
It is dark in there. It is darker than that gold.
Yeah, sure. I mean, chocolate trophy. They could. Yeah, okay. This is obviously what I guess. Yeah, Killers is still trying to bite this shit. I mean, come on, bro. I think that's actually taken of him while he's holding it. Yeah, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because if he tried to fucking slug on that thing again, then I got nothing. I got nothing.
Come back for more second servings.
Guys, do you guys truly feel like the best team won? You know, in terms of the whole
the tournament one, yeah.
Yep.
I think it's just like, you know, before this tournament, nobody really sort of expected them. They looked okay in home ground, but it's also a tournament that you can't really take too much from because they're forced to play maps that they don't realistically want to play or are going to play. I kind of like people have said in chat, I don't know if they're like a legacy team. I just think that realistically, if you have that Liquid series and you play it 10 times instead of just the once, probably going to get a more even average on who's winning out that series between ACEND and Team Liquid. But I'm very glad that a team of people that weren't overhyped, they were just players, right? They were just players that sort of had a love for the game, caught everybody by surprise in Masters 1, had a little bit of that rescinded away from the whole like coach calling whilst they're playing stuff. They disappointed in stage 2. Stage 3 was middling. It's a good sign for teams in the future how much they can bounce back with the same roster for the most part. Bear in mind that I said didn't want to get rid of Coldamenta. That was G2 making that decision. So, I mean, Callus is going to feel great about that now in hindsight. But you get the point. It's not just 5 CS players moving over and just dominating the game and have been dominating the game for the past year. That's the exciting thing to me, is that you can have teams come in like Crew and Surprise, and you can't really write anybody off. It makes the tournament a lot more interesting than Sentinels coming in and just slamming everybody, for example.
Yes.
Also, quick shout on the double elim thing. I think just in chat is that double elim for 2022 would define the true best team. Disagree entirely. I think playoffs should never be double elim. It's boring as fuck. And you already have your chance. You know, making it out of groups, I can understand.
It's a fucking GSL tournament. You don't do GSL then double elimination. That's fucking stupid.
Like, but even when it comes to any form of playoffs, because I've seen like, dude, we've all seen it, right? The playoffs that are double elim, then you have it even one step further where it's like you have to win a best of 5, one map down, and then you have to win it. Then it's a bracket reset. You got to win it again.
Awful.
It's like just fucking bullshit, man.
You have your two chances, guys. You get 2 chances because you can lose a game in groups and still make it to the semis. Like it is in effect double elimination.
Exactly. And the reason that it matters that you can lose in groups is because you're mixing together multiple different regions that you cannot necessarily say this is the 1 through 16 rankings of these teams. So to make up for that, in case you accidentally match number 1 and number 2, they're from different regions and it's single elim, and now bang, you've lost your second best team. You double elim because that lowers the chances, and then you tier system it. So the way it's done, by the way, those groups aren't random. It's done in a tier system where teams are tiered, and then they're picked out like one from tier A, one from tier B.
Pools,
So you're put in.
Yeah.
So it accounts for regional bias and all that sort of stuff. So that's where you get your double elim, because it's like the groups are essential because it's like reading the form of the teams and all that sort of stuff. But it's kind of like a story building aspect. No one's super excited for groups. Elim matches are good. At playoffs, I hate the idea that we do an entire group stage or any sort of setup phase, and then we go, okay, now this team is playing this team, and they'll have another shot here. It just ruins it means these matches are pointless.
Don't matter.
It's a waste of time.
That's what made the Crew
It's a hype
series so
away.
good, is that they knocked out
Exactly.
the best team in groups, being Fnatic with Holiday locked. And they didn't do it in cheesy fashion. They just outplayed Fnatic to an extent. I feel like Fnatic was so keen on trying to, because Crew statistically were a team that just doesn't play retakes. They either throw themselves at you so you don't plant the spike, or they save. It was one of those two things in their games. And Fnatic, that's why there was a lot of like fake plants. Just tend to put down the spike, fight those players. C9 did it as well against Team Liquid. Just fight those players that are going to throw themselves at you to stop you from planting because they're not as comfortable on retakes. But Crew never did that. In fact, they started to play retakes, and it completely caught Fnatic off of what they were expecting. Like, that's not a team that's like using some cheesy composition like Goat's Comp, for example, in Overwatch to make their way through to be the best team. They were playing their own style, but also counteracting. Like, they played Gambit slowly and still were able to do that. It wasn't like they were just full on sending it each time. And I think that you want to get those kind of games like the Gambit Crew semifinal if you don't have that safety net below the teams. It's all or nothing. And that's what made it so good.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. Just a better narrative, more fun, more like high intensity games that really feel like they matter. So a lot more pressure, but it's a lot more fun.
Now, I'm going to save you, Ryan, from arguing with the blatant scoreboard Steven in the chat before you have a fucking aneurysm, mate.
The only thing I was going to respond to that is like, what is it if you take out Fracture? What is it if you take out the map where he only gets 2 kills and has done 27 damage per round? Like, I don't know. Like, he shut down Nats hard.
No one
that you
played
could see
well
from
on
a
Fracture
stat.
on that team. Yeah. Yeah,
I'm excited to see like the spike and stuff use cast more often. My headset keeps turning off for some random reason, but like I'm just gonna keep talking anyway because that's what I do.
Sorry, what you said?
I like that we're now starting to get those kind of
Anyone
stats
hear Ryan?
like cast, which you can't. It's not about what damage you do; it's about what you're effectively there doing. And he like literally threw himself. I'm back now. Thanks, mate.
Oh, shit.
Like Helis threw himself at members of Team Liquid to shut them down. Like he is a little lemming. He is a scapegoat, but the way that these players trade off of him is really good, especially if he's playing Sentinel and attack. They can use that.
Long story short, TLDR, watch VODs, not scoreboards.
Yes. Yes, we watch VODs.
It'd be nice to have
Watch VODs.
replays in game, but that's not coming anytime soon.
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe next year, boys. Maybe next year.
Maybe.
All right. That's it. That's it. We did it. We fucking talked about champions, right? Was there anything else
Hey,
you
it was
guys
a
wanted to
1
talk
hour
about?
show.
Anything else?
Roster changes, watch parties. I don't know. Let's talk about our
I guess
holidays.
we could have, but yeah. What are you guys doing in the break? You guys have a break?
I don't know. We have another show next week, so we
Yeah.
can talk about that next week. Fuck it. Fuck the break. We have
Yeah,
another
let's
show
talk
next week.
week.
Ryan, what are you
but-
doing? At least Ryan. Well, I don't know if we're gonna see him.
What am I doing? Probably
you doing?
nothing. I'm casting this weekend, which is fun.
Nice.
And it's my actual birthday next Monday. And
Oh,
so
everybody,
I'm
let's
gonna
forget to wish him happy birthday on his
go
actual
live in the
birthday.
woods.
Let's block him
after
on his
that.
birthday.
Yeah.
I'll block him the next day.
What are you casting this
Yeah.
weekend?
Some Team Liquid stuff. It's the whole like broadcast on a average Jonas watch party with
Oh, nice.
Team Liquid are doing, but I get to cast with Dinko, so we'll see how that goes. And
Hell
so I'm
yeah.
looking towards
man.
2022. I can't believe that we're done here now, and then in a month we're starting up again, pretty much with the
crazy.
open qualifiers. Like that's not a break.
It's not
Yeah.
a long off season at all. It really isn't.
And
All right,
still in
nerds,
the
well-
midst of COVID.
Yeah, Vans and Mitch, I'll be dealing with you nerds next week. Thanks for being here, Ryan. Good to have you back on the
Always
show,
happy
man.
to be here.
And thanks to you in chat, even with your fucking concave head takes. At times, it's been a pleasure to ride out the VCT in 2021 with you. We'll be back next week. I'm sure there'll be more to talk about, or we'll make some shit up. You know how we do it here on Valorant. We'll see you next Tuesday, 11 p.m. PT. Until then, try and stop looking at the scoreboard all the time, guys. Jesus fucking Christ. A VOD or two, or just ask a player. I don't know. See you later.